Thought I'd share the process of percolating coffee for those of you that have never done it before. This is my old arcade coffee grinder. I love this thing. This was our housewarming present to ourselves when we moved into our first homestead. Got many miles on it that we've put on it. I don't know how many miles were put on it before we got it, but I love this thing. It's probably pretty noisy, so I'm almost done. I actually started this a little bit ago, just so that I wouldn't have to grind the whole thing. You tap the cup so that the grounds fall down, so you don't end up with them all over. I need to grind just a little bit more. So how are you all this morning? I think I saw Miss Jane pop in here. Sorry I missed you guys Wednesday. If you guys saw on the community, both here on YouTube and in our Trayer Wilderness community, I took the mountain boy to urgent care. He's been visiting, and when he got here, he was complaining that his back was really bothering him and really hurt him, which for Austin, that's a little concerning because with the autism, he has an extremely high tolerance for pain. We've witnessed some things with him that was just mind-boggling. I mean, for the rest of us, we would have been on our knees. And so that was a concern. So I knew his pain must have been pretty good if he was, let's try putting this right here, if he was in pain. So I'll finish sharing that story with you in just a second. I want to just drop down here and I'll show you the percolator. How many of you percolate your coffee? So I'm going to spin this. Okay, maybe. It's fighting with me. There we go. Okay, so you've got your percolator. You got your water in there, and the coffee will come up that center tube, and the water just actually came out of there. You do not necessarily have to put a filter in here. There are small holes and that, but this keeps all grounds out of your coffee for the most part. And then the top goes on there. But what I'm going to do here is put the coffee in. Because many of you use electric coffee pots. And some of you go camping and you might know how to do this, but it's good to know. And there's also some other little tricks and tips. I'm going to grind some clay and salt and put it across the top of this. Oop. Sorry, guys. The purpose of the salt is it helps with the acidity in your coffee. Also, cold brewed coffee is much better as far as the acid levels. So if you deal with, stomach ulcers, or you're not, you struggle with the acid in coffee, those are some tips to get rid of some of the acidity in there. But I just ground the salt in there, and I'm gonna put the lid on here, and I'm gonna put it on to perk, so maybe you can smell it while we're live. I'd invite you over for a cup of coffee. I would love that. But let me put this on here real quick because I got to use 2 hands to light it. So bear with me a second here. There we go. All right. So my coffee is brewing, and that makes me happy. I only had 1 cup today, and cup number 2 is essential. So especially with the week we've been having. So, all right. So let me get this over here. All right. Got some good things to share with you today. Let me get on here. Oops. And open the other app so I'm not scritching and scratching on the screen. How are you all? Do you have any praises or prayers that we can be lifting you for? And then I'll jump back to my story with the mountain boy in just a second. Okay, well, that's doing things. So as I mentioned, I took the mountain boy to urgent care so that we could get him in since he's home from school. He starts school on Monday, again, for his next automotive class, and wanted to get that taken care of. So we went over there, and they were just going to suggest ibuprofen, stretching, and maybe a topper for on his bed to help with the back pain. But I felt the need. She mentioned an x-ray, and she's like, well, I don't really think that's necessary. But because of the pain he was in, I said, well, I'd really like an x-ray. So she was reluctant, but she did the x-ray, and she said she was only going to do the portion of his back that was bugging him. And I don't know if she changed her mind or if it was the text that decided to, but we got full back x-rays. And I'm really grateful. God really prompted me. Two things he prompted me with. One was to make sure that I was on Austin's medical records as somebody they could communicate with because of his age, and did that right before we went in there. And then they did the x-rays, and we were on our way. And yesterday we got a phone call. So this is why we need to go with our guts in so many reasons. Oh man, I wanted to share a link with you guys today, and I'll see if I can grab it while I'm on here. But he has a stress fracture between his T12 and his T1 vertebrae. So if you guys could please keep him in your prayers, that's going to make things really tricky. He was supposed to go home last night, and he ran with me to the post office, and just that ride on our bumpy roads here had him turning green with pain. So I knew a 2-hour drive home was not going to work real well for him. So what I did is just opted to have him stay here. He had a call out of work today, but until we figure out getting into a specialist and just what we can do here for him, he's gonna stay here. I'm gonna take him up on Sunday, and because it's the only opportunity I have somebody present at the right time to drive his vehicle up behind me or whatever, so that we can get his vehicle up there. Short drives are not a problem for him, but he's going to need to be careful. And same with sitting in class for 8 hours. I'm trying to get a chair with lumbar support for him for the classroom. So we'll see how that goes. But your prayers would be greatly appreciated. That was very unexpected, and I'm not sure what all's going on there or why. The only thing that he did was picked up some boxes at the food pantry that he helps at that were extra heavy. And he did take a spill when he was younger. And I don't know if that created a weakness in that area or not, that, made it have that stress fracture now. So anyway, if you could just pray for him, and if you guys have prayers, please leave them below so that we can be praying for you. Miss Jane says, I have a mocha pot for the stove. Same concept, no filter paper needed. Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I want to jump back to that. We do cowboy coffee too. You can put coffee grounds in a pot of water, boil it, and the trick to the coffee grounds going to the bottom is dumping a little bit of cold water on the top to enable the coffee grounds to go to the bottom, and then you pour your coffee. The mountain man used that technique for a long time out in the back country when he was doing pack trips and hunts out there. So it's a great way to do coffee over the open fire in the fire pit. So you don't have to go without coffee if you are without electric. There's multiple ways you can do it, but I love my percolator. I love if you haven't noticed, I sort of have a fetish for old kettles. I love kettles. They all get used though. That big white one behind me is our big tea. When I'm brewing big vats of tea, I use that to do my tea, especially our immune boosting tea, which I will share a link for as well. That is a good one to have. You can go to TrayerWilderness.com and just search for immune boosting tea. That is something we have on the stove all winter long. This other little kettle right over here was a gift to us by Terry and Mel, and they're from Canada. They've been following us for years and years, since we were out here, and they gifted us with that and a pot. And I use both of them. I use that. I keep that on the stove all the time with water in it, so it keeps moisture in the air. So I'm always using my old kettles, but I love the old percolators, especially with the glass tops, and I've gone through quite a few of those. They last. We put them to hard use. I think I saw Miss Carol. Yes. Good afternoon, Miss Carol. I missed you guys this week. I hope that you are settling in and enjoying your new space and getting to see Lorenzo as well. Hello, Miss Tracy. Hello, hello. All right, you guys are starting to pop in. So if you need prayers or have praises, don't forget to leave them below. And like I said, if you could keep the mountain boy in your prayers, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you could keep us in your prayers too, our old dog, Rambler, the blue healer, as I mentioned, has not been doing well. And honestly, about a week and a half ago, I thought we were going to have to take care of things, and then he bounced back and he's been doing all right. Well, last night, I don't think he can see at all anymore. He was really running into things, and his back legs are starting to really lose their strength. So I know it's not long. And this is the mountain man's dog. He had Rambler like 2 years prior to meeting us. And we've had him the whole time we're out here. So he's 13, going on 14, and he's lived a good life. He's been all over the country with Glenn, doing all kinds of things, and then out here with us. So it's always hard when you're putting a pet down, because they are like part of the family. When I'm here by myself, these dogs get full conversation. You know, they aren't left out. I talk to them all the time. As a matter of fact, the mountain boy, I thought he was ignoring me this morning, because I'm like talking to him, and he's like, well, I thought you were talking to the dog. I'm like, I don't talk to the dog like that. He's like, yes, you do. I'm like, yeah, he's right. So anyway, just keep us in your prayers, if you would. That's going to be a tough day, and I know it's going to happen over the weekend. It's just getting there. So just tough. And I know many of you know what that's like. So Miss Carol says, I'm finally getting there, feeling rubbish at the minute. Bad headache, aching all over, and really tired. Did you overdo it, or you think you're just getting something? We will definitely be praying for you. Trust me, being sick is not fun, not at all. So we'll send prayers for that. Do you have any peppermint essential oil? That always works really good when you put it across your forehead and in the back of your neck when you have a headache. It really can help with headaches. I use that a lot. And also just smelling it is good if you have some. Tracy says, that's so hard. They become such a big part of our lives. Yes, no kidding. Oh my goodness. And they're so loyal. You know, last night, when I'm sitting, he's laying on my feet if he can. Like right now, he's right beside me. And last night when I was walking around, he just kept following me everywhere. So I know he's feeling it, and it's just sad. Miss Carol says, it might be a virus. I have peppermint oil. Yes, I'll find it. Can you find it after the move? Were you able to keep things really organized with your move? I always try to do that in the worst way. And we do pretty good. I'm pretty organized and kind of anal with that kind of stuff, but you still lose things here and there, or you think you know where they are and someone else moves them. So Miss Jane says, part of the family. So sad when we have to say see you later. Yeah, I know, but he's going to get a good spot right out here on my ridge. He'll be in view. And my dear friend Courtney gave me some solar Christmas tree lights. I love those things, and I've been dying to get my hands on them. I haven't invested myself, and she knew I was looking, so she gave me one set. And what I wanted to do was put them on the trees around the fire pit, and I have 3 trees over there, and I couldn't decide where I wanted to put it, or if I wanted to put it out there, and I'm glad I kind of hung on to it, because what I'm going to do is put it out there on the tree where we where we bury him, because that way at night we'll see the lights out there. Plus, I love this time of year. Oh my goodness, guys. I love this time of year. It is so nice. I'm sure many of you do too. But the stars have just been amazing. So clear in the sky. So between the stars and his little lights, I think that'll be awesome. Carol says, I hate it when it's time to let them run free. I'm more animals than people. It's heart-wrenching. Yes, I know. I get it. And these guys are such loyal companions. Oh my goodness. So protective. He is just such a neat dog too. He has always been the protector. When we were building and we were living in the wall tent at the first homestead, we were in that for 8.5 months. And that dog spent so much time just ruthlessly going in circles, making sure we were okay, because we'd all be at different spots doing different things. Austin would be chopping firewood or in the tent keeping the fire going and doing odds and ends jobs for us. And I would be at one spot doing something, Glenn would be at some, and he would just circle to make sure we were okay. And when we moved in, there was a foot of snow on the ground, and we've had cold weather for a while. And our feet, were sore from standing in the cold. And I think his pads on his feet were just so sore. And he's an outside dog. He loves to be outside. Like, you can't keep him in. When we got in the house, he curled up next to that fire, and he didn't want to go out. I think he was just tapped and done, because he had done his job of making sure we were secure for 8.5 months ruthlessly, and he was just petered out. So he is an awesome dog though, and he's so sweet. But you can see he's getting so skinny. But look at this, my pack. There you go, Carol. There's the whole pack. I'm sure that was pretty reckless movement, so sorry about that. Yep, pretty reckless. My coffee's starting to get going. I'm so excited. I think I saw Miss Tammy jump on here. Where are you, girl? Yes, you are. She says, hi, so sorry, totally forgot about today. That's okay. It's an odd day. And honestly, last night I went to bed and I'm like, I have my kids' corner tomorrow. I'm going to do water in the morning. I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's something else. What am I forgetting? And then I woke up this morning. I'm like, oh, that's right. I rescheduled. So you aren't alone. I know. Poor Copper's going to struggle because she's used to having company. And when Bowser comes, she gets so excited because she has somebody to play with. And so she's going to be pretty lonely. She's going to be stuck with just me. Yeah, she's going to need extra hugs. It's going to be rough for her. But I don't know that we're going to get another dog right away. So yeah, I'm going to have to keep her busy. We walk every day, but it's hard. It's hard on everybody. Jane says, me too. I come more alive, move better mood. And they're saying, hello. Miss Jane says, I'm making bear spray or hot sauce later today. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I never thought of that. That's a good idea to put some in a spray bottle. I'll tell you what, our friend named our hot sauce to Gizzard Twitch. It's some pretty hot stuff. What do you use in yours, Jane? Mine is just 42 Hobbs in each batch, and I typically make 3 batches. And it's hot, but it's got good flavor. Not like what's that sauce? Oh my goodness, can't think of it. The most well-known hot sauce, Tabasco. The Mountain Man just does not like that. It does not have good flavor to it, where ours has a really good flavor to it. And it's got heat. Carol says all the fur balls. Yes. Good morning, Miss Mill. Good morning. Tracy says Gizzard Twitch. I love it. I know that stuck. That was a keeper. I absolutely love it. Oh, guys, I want to tell you too, we have been having such an awesome Bible study. If you guys are able to join, I invite you all to join us. The book we are using is Fueled by Fire. If you want to check it out, you can go to TrayerWilderness.com/fueledbyfire. It's Stacy Wallace's book, and it's absolutely amazing. And we've done all foundational studies thus far. So when you join the Bible study, you can actually backtrack and do the other studies as well independently if you want to. But to do that, you can go to TrayerWilderness.com/Bible Study Book Club. We have a really good time. There are typically 6 to 8 of us live, and then there's others that watch the replay. So we have such a good time, and it's just a really wholesome group. And like I said, you don't need to be a Bible scholar to be a part of this. None of us are scholars. We are seeking just the love of Jesus and the relationship, and also the benefit there is the relationship amongst each other, being able to lift each other in prayer, support each other, and it is just fabulous. So really awesome. Tammy says yours is hot but yummy. Oh, that's funny. I forgot that I gave you guys that. Yes, it is very hot. Like this is our hot sauce. You dip a fork or a knife into the hot sauce, and then you go to your food and you just like drip it on your food, and then you mix your food really good and hope that you don't get a hot spot, and you don't ever lick the spoon or anything off, and you're very cautious that if it's on your hands you don't touch anything. It's hot stuff. Like when we empty a jar, I glove up to wash that off. And I get rid of the flat because I'm afraid that it holds the heat. So not to mention if it actually eats the stuff off of the lid. That's how it also got named Gizzard Twitch, because if it is laying sideways or something, it'll actually eat the stuff off of the canning lid. It's hot. I don't know that I put it in anything plastic. Tracy says, I keep forgetting to check out the Bible study. I really want to join. Awesome. You'd fit in well. You'd fit in very, very well. And we would love to have you. Jane says, trying in the Instapot, green jalapenos, red sauce, Thai chilies, and yellow, and then habanero pineapple. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That sounds very good. We'll have to swap out hot sauces. We are condiment connoisseurs, so always looking to try new condiments. So hello, Miss Kelly, welcome. And Jane says, I'll be joining in the end of October. Awesome, that will be fabulous. Yeah, we have a growing group. It's going really well. We've actually been doing this, I think, a year already now. I think I started it in October. I have to look back. October, November is when I started it, I think, last year. God has nudged me to do such awesome things. And, you know, in being obedient and seeing the purpose behind things, it's so amazing. And to see the growth. We were talking about that last night in our Bible study. You know, we've been together for a year, most of us, and have new people joining, but to see the stories that have been shared, and also where we were in our walk a year ago. Some of the ladies had really been in rough spots and really struggling, and to see their transformation and to know that through the power of our prayers, God has lined things up and really transformed them. It has been amazing to watch. There is nothing better than watching God lift people and mold people and grow people. It is just so incredible. So incredible. Kelly says, no hot peppers for us. We're tender folk, lol. I get that. I have my days. I can only eat hot stuff when I'm feeling the need to eat hot stuff. It's not something I eat all the time. The mountain man eats it on everything but ice cream. Or does he? He might have done that already too. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The peanut gallery just spoke. He goes, I wouldn't be surprised. Did you hear him laughing? Isn't that funny? Right? Oh, that's funny. I only like the back of my throat warmed, and that's hot enough. Wink. Exactly. Right. I totally hear that. Totally get that. Yeah, pretty funny. So I have my coffee brewing. I was sharing my percolator and the process of percolating coffee for those of you that have never percolated coffee, and it's getting close. You can hear it starting to like ramp up to start perking, and when it perks, then I turn it down. So I will be turning that down shortly. I still have the burner in here, but last night had I not been so tired and knew that once I curled up in my covers I would be warm, I probably would have lit a fire. It's like 62 today, but it's really damp, like it's chilly. So my hands are cold right now. So putting my hands around my warm cup of coffee will be wonderful. So I know you guys have been really busy doing lots of things. Tammy and Kelly, even Jane, and I would imagine maybe Tracy as well. And Carol has been harvesting too, but you guys are harvesting things from your gardens, processing your foods, eating your bounty. I haven't had much growing this year because our garden isn't in place and our soil is rough, but I have been doing a lot of bag planting. And what I do have is doing very well. I still have fruits on the vine. I still have new buds and new fruit coming on. So I'm real excited. I did a video this week on saving seeds and also on dehydrating, and I shared structures, greenhouses, hoop houses to really improve your growing and also to elongate your season and so forth. Now, Miss Deb gifted me with some produce, so I have been saving seeds and dehydrating things. We're going to be chopping up yellow squash later today and tomorrow to get those dehydrating. And actually, no, I don't think we are. We have 2 days or 3 days of rain coming, although I could dehydrate them and put them in the upstairs. I've been hanging it upstairs too. Miss Jane and Miss Shelley, thank you for the recommendation of the solar dehydrator. I will share a link with that, and that information is coming in my next video as well. But that thing is fabulous. I did all of my teas. I did a bunch of different types of basil and some parsley in that, and it's absolutely awesome. So I'm going to show you guys how to save the seeds in the next video, but that's what I've been busy doing, is saving seeds, dehydrating what I can. In our off-grid setting, I can't use my Excalibur dehydrator in this house at all because I do not have enough power with the system I have to do that without running the generator. With the dehydrator, oftentimes you need to have it running for 24 hours, longer periods of time. That is something I couldn't do on the other homestead either. I could run it during the day, but once the sun is off the panels, you're pulling from your batteries, and anything that produces heat pulls a lot of power. Therefore, it would drain my batteries in the evening. So that just wasn't conducive for our environment. If we had more batteries, maybe, but what I started doing was dehydrating in my sun ovens. And my tip to you with that is if you dehydrate in your sun ovens, you want to make sure you keep the top cracked a little bit so there's airflow in there. Otherwise, there's too much moisture and it doesn't dehydrate well. It actually singes it versus dehydrating it. And then this solar dehydrator that I'm going to share with you is just fabulous. And be warned, don't open it in your home if it's a small space or if you have a lot of things sitting around. If you've ever opened up one of those little kids' tents that they twist and turn and they go back in a little package, the package it comes in is about like this. It opens up and it's about like this. So I opened it up and it was like this big spring form that just came out and stuff just went everywhere. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know its size or anything. I was just anxious to use it. But I will share that with you guys, a link with that. The link for that is in the next video and all the information, and you get to see it up close and personal. Because right now I have it closed up and out of the way. But I moved it inside and hung it upstairs when we get damper weather, cooler weather. In the evenings, I don't want it to get wet. So my coffee is starting to percolate. That's like music to my ears. That's like sweet music. Okay, so
you're funny.
You listen here, boy. Let me see here. That is the Mountain Boy, Miss Carol. Let me spin this around. Step forward, have a chat with us. We haven't seen you properly for ages. The Mountain Man is off at his job, but he will be popping in next week. Mountain Boy. Whoop. He's stretching. Are you done stretching? Are you going to come visit and just say hello? Okay, here he comes. I know, you got to go sit back down. So come and say hello. Show your face. Oop, hang on one second. My coffee is perking. So the coffee is perking. So now what you do is you just turn it down so that it doesn't cook over, and you just let it perk like for about 10 minutes, and you are good to go. You'll have really good coffee. But you see, this is what it does when it's perking. You can see it in the glass up top, and It's just fun. I love my coffee pot. So there you go. Here, you got the screen now, boy.
I
The mountain boy speaks. This is funny. I got to share this with you. You know, they say man of few words, right? Well, he normally is a man of few words. But the other day when he was up at his house, he was talking to me, and all he kept doing was going, yeah, yeah. And one of his house buddies was sitting there, and he goes, yeah. He goes, and I said, man of few words, and he goes, no, it's man of few syllables. I thought that was hysterical, so that's sticking too. The man of few syllables. So despite having great pain, he's still got a smile on his face and doing all right. So what do you think of school?
I don't know yet. It hasn't really started.
Okay, you've been in school as it's been progressing, smarty pants. Are you going to stay behind me? Get over here. Share with everybody how you're doing.
Get over.
I know, yeah. Well, I just meant your head. Here, I'll move the camera. There you go. Share with everybody how school's going and what you think of it up there.
It's going pretty good. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, your summer course was hands-on, although it wasn't as hands-on as you would have liked. It was That was pretty cool though, huh?
Yeah. I wish it was more hands-on.
Yeah. And this upcoming class is your electrical class, so that should be pretty awesome.
Yep.
He's excited about his electrical class because one of the first things he's going to need to do with his Willie Jeep is rewire it. So this is one he's anxious to get information on so that he can delve in. But let me see if anybody's chatting with you while we're on here. Everybody's saying hello. Hello, Melissa. Melissa has joined us. Jane says, boom. We got hi, Austin, from Carol. She says she hopes you're doing well. And everybody's saying hello. So if you have any questions for the mountain boy, you can riddle them his way now because he's stuck in the limelight. But you, what do you think of the city?
It's crazy. I'll be glad when I have enough money to build my house.
There you go.
Up on the hill.
Now, this was the guy who was all excited to go to the city. Do you remember that? We had that conversation not too terrible long ago. And, he likes the city, and he doesn't miss it here. Although he does tell me I still don't have enough power. And
you definitely do not have enough power.
What is the biggest thing in the city that you don't like? You can be honest, because I imagine you're going to, I almost think I know what you're going to say, but I'm not sure.
Just being at that house right now.
Oh, okay. A lot of weird dynamics. So he's not 100% happy in his housing. But Miss Tracy wants to know what you're studying.
I am studying. I can't bring automotive.
Yeah, automotive technology is what you're into.
Yeah, I had a major brain fart.
That's all right. The apple didn't fall far from the tree, right, guys? I have that problem all the time. Oh, don't do that. Oh. Tammy asked, are you enjoying your job?
Somewhat. I'd still rather be working on cars.
Oh. Tell them what your favorite thing was, though, with your job. I was really excited to hear him tell me that. That one day I was up there and I asked you what you really enjoyed most about your job. You don't remember?
I don't remember saying.
You said that it was working with the people. And granted, you still have some funky people come in, but
yeah.
Is that still true?
Yeah.
And why do you like that?
Because it's not that hard.
Okay. Yeah, this is really funny. He started at AutoZone, and this was like his first real job doing stuff like that. And I asked him what he did the first day, and they had him on the register. They had him calling people. They had him doing the shelves and helping people out on the floor. So he was doing it all on the very first day. And he has kind of shied away from the phone. I think that's a guy thing. A lot of guys don't enjoy being on the phone. I know the mountain man is constant.
Especially since the phones are pieces of junk.
Yeah, so the connection is rough. Plus, you got people on their cell phones that are broken up, so that makes it hard. So he's...
So you can't... sometimes I had to make the person repeat the thing 20 times just to get everything.
But it's good practice, right? And you're learning. What is the one thing that you have been able to overcome? Well, actually, there's two things that are very obvious that you've overcome, to me anyway, with being at school and your job?
I don't remember.
That's really funny. Okay, that's an ironic answer, because one of the things that he has overcome is being forgetful. And you just said you don't remember. All right, anyway. Oh, that's funny. He's always struggled remembering things, and
Still do.
but you're doing. He said something to me, and we were talking, and he's sharing how he remembered this, and he was doing this, and he went and did this, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, do you realize how you've overcome, and that you're remembering, to do things and remembering things? And like, he's been remembering numbers. When he looks up part numbers, he remembers them to go to the shelf to find it things. That was stuff that was so super hard for him. And when I said something to him, he's like, huh. It didn't even dawn on him. And the other thing is, look at how outspoken he is. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
You're a much better communicator.
I guess.
You've been forced to.
You're
going to go sit down. Wait, they might have had something to say here. So Tammy wanted to know how your job was. Carol says, Austin, are you going to build a tiny house next to Mom and Dad?
No. It'll be further away. Not too far, but still.
Close enough. It'll be right here, just not right here, is what he's saying. And Are you building a tiny house?
It'll be slightly bigger than this house.
Yep, we've rubbed off. He likes small. But he still wants to make sure all his stuff fits. So I can't blame him. Miss Kelly says, glad to be home for a visit, I'm sure. Hello, Austin. We pray daily for you.
Thanks.
Oh, Tammy says, Austin, I think Caleb would agree. And Caleb unloads a truck every week, mostly by himself. He likes that kind of stuff too. So awesome. Do you need to go sit down?
Yeah. Because
you're back. All right, we'll just say goodbye to everybody.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us and showing your mug.
You're welcome. You goofy.
That's so funny. When I ask him what he's improved on most and he forgot, that just cracked me up.
You caught me off guard.
I know, the irony of it all, right? Isn't that funny? I'm trying to get him to do an interview, and he said, well, next time he comes to visit, and I just thought of it. He's stuck here for the next 2 days till we can get him up to Washington. So I might have to get him.
Wait, I'm stuck here for the next 2 days?
I don't know. We'll have to see. If you can't drive up, yes, you're stuck here till Sunday. Can you handle it?
Yeah.
All right.
I can handle that.
But that means I get to corner you and interview you for the podcast. Jane says, frost warnings for us with the rain coming in. Yeah, it's supposed to really cool off. We are supposed to only be highs in the 50s this weekend. And we've had frosts on and off for the last 2.5 weeks already. We had 29, 30s, 32. So, and then, the one day it was 30 in the morning and 100 in the afternoon. It's like, how? But our weather has definitely changed. Fall is definitely setting in. And I'm thankful that after the rains, because we get a month-long rain in spring typically, and then the same in the fall. And I'm hoping that we need rain, don't get me wrong, but I don't want a month-long straight of rain if I can help it, because October's our hunting season, and it's not as much. I hunt in any kind of weather, but it's just nice when you don't have to. So Miss Carol says, process. Lorenzo ate all the last of the green beans before we brought them in to cook for my dinner. So he ate them all raw. Oh, that's awesome. I love green beans. I have some of those to put up. I'm very excited and to eat. The process on the saving the seeds, I share in the next video. So I'll be uploading that in the next day or so. And I'll share that whole process with you guys. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. The only thing that really requires a little extra work is your tomatoes. Let me see here. Tammy says we had 26 this morning. Woohoo! Yep, time to start pulling out the sweaters and the hoodies. Jane says mine's full of flower seeds now. I know I was talking and we jumped. So share with me what is. Oh, your percolator is full of flower seeds now. Am I right? I've planted things in old kettles over there on the windowsill. Well, I'll show it to you then. And I have, do I have one up there too? I have a bunch of kettles that I've planted in, and I've also gifted in kettles. Because when they get a hole, you're kind of sunk. So I just plant my plants in them. Put a little clear silicone caulk on the hole so that it doesn't leak all over when you're watering your plants. But that works for planting. Miss Kelly says she's saving seeds, harvesting, fermenting, dehydrating, and canning here. Next week is supposed to have freezing temps if it doesn't change. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, coming fast. Kelly says, "Lol, Tammy, my solar dehydrators came with a warning a few years ago. I guess they figure everyone needs some surprise these days." Yeah, that was so funny. I mean, this thing came, there's no instructions on how to use it. You even go to the purchasing page, there's no instructions, really how to use it. Because I wanted to look up if I'm doing tomatoes and stuff in there, saucy things in there, is there any way to clean it, but there's no paperwork, no nothing. There was no, I would have to gather it probably came from China, but it was really funny. I mean, I was like so excited, and I'm just opening it, not thinking, and I mean, man, that thing swapped me in the face and stuff went going. It's it was funny. At least yours came with a warning. That's good. And I just gave you one. Now, if you guys don't remember, you will have a recollection after you go through the situation, I'm sure. Let me see here. Oh, Melissa says, so cool on the tiny house. Tell you what, guys, it is tiny, and it gets tricky when you have lots of people and lots of dogs. The stairs can go up and out of the way, and that makes this room very open, very, very roomy, but it is tricky. Austin's walked into the stairs with his head at least twice since he's here. I've done it already too when you're dodging dogs, and the more dogs you have in here, the trickier it is because they don't lay at the same spot all the time. So it's constantly a challenge. But when there's lots of people, when it's just me and the mountain man, it's so simple and so easy. And just the only thing that I find with a tiny house that is different than a large house is that you're dusting so much more because, of course, the floor needs swept so much more. We have different seasons that bring different dirt. Now it's dusty, sandy, metallic-y, gravelly stuff. Then it'll be mud and clay and mud, and then it's snow, so it's wet, and it's just every season changes. And with the dogs, you never know. So I'm cleaning the floor more often, and I'm dusting more often because with all the movement in this small space, it makes it really dusty often. But besides that, it's just so simple and so easy, and it's very welcoming, even when, like right now I've got my office space in front of me. I've been doing a lot of work here. So like behind the camera is like a pile of all my books and things that I've been working on. So it gets a little cluttered right here, but it's still so welcoming and homey. And I love that. I love that. Miss Jane says, we'll keep you in prayer, Austin. That's awesome. Thank you, Miss Jane and Miss Kelly. I appreciate you guys praying for him. Mr. Keith is in the house. He says, greetings from New Zealand. He says, hi, all still in lockdown, vaccine passports not far away. You have been heavy, heavy, heavy in my prayers, Keith. You have been weighing heavy on my heart. And I've wanted to email you like 3 different times. And with everything we've got going on, the mountain boy had a trip to urgent care this week, and a stress fracture between the T12 and the T1. So that's been interesting. And our old dog is not doing well. So it's been crazy. But you have been on my mind, and I will reach out to you in an email, maybe when we're done here, right away. But I've been thinking about you and wondering how you're doing. And I know that you have mentioned already that you are much like us, that I think the way you worded it is, you've lived a good life and you will go down fighting. And we're right there with you. I get it. Just so much chaos right here. And I'm praying for you over there because I know things are so much more advanced, and just the control and the mandating, and it's It's disturbing. So you've been heavy in my thoughts and prayers. I also want to tell you, Keith, that I would absolutely love to get the details on the wells that you are digging over there in New Zealand. And I would love to know what type of ground you have. Do you have a lot of sandy ground or do you have a lot of clay? I would love to know that, because that is our next step here, is getting this well in before winter. So I'm thoroughly excited about that. But I would love your input. You are such a wealth of information. And that young couple over there in New Zealand that is able to tap into your knowledge is just priceless. They are going to gain a lot of information, and I would love to be able to tap into it more. So let me see here. Tracy says, I don't think I could survive there in our tiny house, in our tiny space. Kelly says, very windy here today and cold. It was windy yesterday, but it was good temperatures yesterday. But today it's a little more raw. Let me see here. Jane says, my dehydrator is hanging, filled with flower seeds and last of the chamomile. Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you. I was trying to think what you meant what I was talking, because sometimes I don't get back to the comments right away. Awesome. Yes, I mean, they are just so wonderful to use. And with the sun we've been having and the warmer afternoons, it's just made it so nice to dehydrate things in that. I'm really pleased, really pleased. I'll put you on my prayer list and with a fellowship. Awesome. Appreciate that you're praying for Keith. Yes, he definitely needs prayers. Things are really escalated over there. Carol, how are things over there in the UK? What are they doing? Are they mandating the vaccine over there yet or not? Let me see here. Tracy says, too cold too soon. We won't get our first frost until next month. That's crazy. Yeah, everything has been escalated here for us this year. And the extreme heat we had, it was like between 110 and 120 for almost 2 months. It was hot. It was hot. And even with the rains that we did get, the ground is just still cracked, and we are living in a tinderbox this year. So, and I was seeing the changes coming, even though, part of it was from drought. I could see the changes coming, and that fall was setting in way early. And then, of course, because of the drought, I'm seeing a lot of trees dying, and I just have this feeling they're coming back. And if all the trees that I am seeing dying don't come back, it's going to be naked out here. It's bad. We had this happen, I think it was back in 2013 when we had a pretty dry summer, and we lost a lot of trees. And when the trees weaken, then the beetles set in. So we've got a lot of beetle kill out here already right now, but I mean, it's just nuts to see all these pines getting brown. Typically, what we see this time of year is the larch trees turning yellow. It's one of the only evergreen trees that lose their nettles and regrow them, and they turn like a fluorescent yellow. It's just amazing. So that's my foliage out here. I don't get the leafy trees unless we have cottonwoods or quakies out here. In the towns, they plant the nicer trees. We just don't have any planted out here except for our plum trees right now. So it's definitely been a weird season. Miss Kelly's adding Keith to the prayer list also. Appreciate that, Kelly. Kelly says, got the cabbage out and in the cellar, ended up with 12 huge heads, and the smaller heads I'm making into kraut and dehydrating some for soup and casseroles. I'll tell you what, I love using cabbage in soups. That and just went blank. I like using the greens in my soups. I can't think of what I wanted to tell you, but the cabbage in soup is just so nice. It gives it such a nice flavor, and I love homemade sauerkraut. There is nothing better than homemade sauerkraut. Carol says they have just said children ages 12 to 15 can now have the jab, and it's their choice, not parents. Oh my gosh, that irritates me to no end. People are pulling their kids out of schools fast. Awesome. At least I'm happy to hear that people are standing up. People are coming together. People are planting their feet. And it's time. It's time. This is just ridiculous. Kelly said trees are changing here quickly. Kelly said we love fried cabbage and apples with onions. Delicious. Yes, and I also add bacon to that, and it is just amazing. So I saved some cabbage and some bacon for the mountain man from when with his jobs. It's just so he works, he comes home, he goes to bed kind of thing. Eats quickly and goes to bed. So I've been saving the cabbage to do the cabbage and bacon dish. And then I'm going to do BLTs this weekend and feed him like super, super well. I've been feeding him well, but I'm feeding him his favorite stuff this weekend. This world is crazy. So much evil. No kidding, Kelly. There is just so much happening right now all over the place. I hope you guys are staying in a place of peace. It's hard. It's definitely something that we've got to work at. It's something that we've got to find our balance in being aware of what's happening, but also staying in a peaceful, joyful place. Because in any survival situation, if you don't have a clear mind and are able to cope and you don't keep yourself in a good headspace, nothing good will come of it. And the same is going to apply to our current situation. We need to stay in a good headspace, and it is a hard thing to do. But I will say that communing like this weekly, staying in fellowship, and I hope, my hope and prayer is that when you leave with me, you feel renewed, refilled, empowered to keep going. And I would like to keep doing the 2 a week, but the EMFs are still bugging me greatly. See if it helps, because I end up walking away from these with such head pain. It's not funny. So that's why I've tried to put it in the middle of the week so I can keep you guys centered and focused. Also share things that are going on and also to encourage and inspire. Kelly says, yes, Tammy, forgot bacon, and we add loose sausage too. Makes a wonderful meal. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds really good. The loose sausage, yes. I like to add some of our elk meat and our burger to it as well, but bacon is my thing. Bacon is my favorite. Kelly says, I've been eating tomatoes with balsamic vinegar drizzles and salt and pepper. Very yummy. Oh, that sounds so good. Yes, I think that I might have that for lunch. I haven't done that. I've been eating tomato sandwiches and putting tomato in our, sauteing it up with other vegetables. There is nothing better than a fresh tomato. There is nothing even close to a fresh tomato. These tomatoes they sell in the grocery store are like cutting into a piece of plastic with no flavor. So I feel very blessed. Kelly says, praising our governor for standing against the mandate Biden put forth. Yeah, there are a lot of, there's a lot of people and a lot of municipalities and states that are starting to listen to the people. And we need to really voice our cares and concerns. We need to make it known. You know, there are still good politicians out there, I'd like to think. And the ones that are trying to make a difference, we need to support and we need to encourage, and they need to know that we support them and that we are fighting for the same things. Same with the police. You know, it needs to be known that we want them in place. So don't hesitate to reach out to your politicians, to the police departments. You know, defunding our police, we all know that would be the worst thing that could happen here, because then the evil will completely and totally attempt or take over. And none of us want that. Kelly says, put that all as a stuffing in bread and you have cabbage buns. Oh, that sounds really awesome. Ooh, Kelly, you're making me hungry. We haven't eaten yet today because we were scurrying around and getting things around. So when we're off of here, we'll be eating. And now you're either going to make it really easy or really hard, because now we're going to have like too many choices. But that's okay. It's all good. I'm glad you're sharing, because that sounds amazing. The bread and the buns that you shared the other day looked awesome. Your produce, I'm living vicariously through all of you that are harvesting major amounts of bounty right now. I have like, I'm probably going to end up with like 6 cherry tomatoes and maybe 4 peppers. Like I said, it's a light year where we have and will be getting in our greenhouse. The garden will go in next year. And I've got lots of cow poop now. I don't know if I mentioned it to you guys, but the one ranch not too far from us had cows get out, and they ended up rounding up 48 of them out here. And there's still like maybe 6 or 8 of them loose. But I mean, there is cow poop everywhere. So I've got plenty for the garden, which will be awesome. Miss Kelly says, yes, we called the Montana Attorney General and asked they stand up for our state and federal constitutions. They thanked us for calling. Awesome. 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 You know, the problem with people moving around right now is that you got a lot of liberal-minded people moving into your states, and those mindsets start to take over. You have people in the wrong places, and we gotta voice our opinions, guys. Got to voice our opinions. We've got to help support these people that are trying to do the right thing, because it's no different than us. You know, when we get encouraged, you know how that builds on us and our self-esteem, our initiative, our goals, and also the power within to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. So knowing they are being backed and knowing they are being supported is tremendous. So step up, speak out, and let your voice be heard. Right now, we've got to plant our feet. Like I said, we can't get discouraged and cave because we get uncomfortable, because it's going to get uncomfortable. I think you guys can see that now. And if we want to keep what we've got, we're going to have to stand firm in these uncomfortable times. Tracy says, unfortunately, I live in a state where the governor is just as bad as the president, if not worse. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of that out there. And all we can do is pray for the leaders. You know, I pray for God's will to be done there, because it is hard to pray for the leaders, even though we are called to do that. So I am obedient, and I pray that God supports the ones that are working hard on our behalf, and that his will be done with the ones that are not, and that they find Jesus, you know. But we do need to pray for them. Kelly says, God has been so good, lots of bounty and working hard to preserve it all. Well, with what you aren't eating. Right, exactly. It's hard not to. And it's really funny. I thought it was great that Lorenzo ate all the green beans. Now you know, Carol, you know, you're learning what he really likes. And Carol sent me the cutest little video. You'll have to let me know if I can share that, because I'll share it as if it was shared by an audience member in one of my videos. Maybe the one I just did. But Carol sent me a picture of the one carrot that she harvested from her bounty and pulled it out of the ground, and it looked like it had a little child hanging on its back or on its front, hugging it. And you guys know how appropriate that is in this situation, because Carol has been nurturing plants all year. She got the itch from everybody talking about it and stepped out and has tried it. And not only tried it, but tried it with her grandson. And her grandson is hooked. They've had a blast doing things, and he's only 3. I think he's 3. And it's just awesome that is one of the things she harvested, because that's so fitting for the year. But she sent me the video of it, and it's just way cute. So Carol, you'll have to let me know if I can use that and highlight it in one of our videos. Melissa says, it's a gorgeous Indian summer, guys. It is. It is awesome. It is really an awesome. I like the fall. I love this transition right here. But it is. These temperatures right now are just amazing. And we're heading into hunting season. These cool temps are going to just be perfect. 81 and fall colors. I'll try to post pics in the community. That would be awesome. And remember, you can post if you want to post multiple pictures, right now we can't do it in one thing. You can create a collage if you have an app on your phone. Otherwise, just post a bunch in the comments below the main post. But share away. That's what it's for. Jane says, I just made a salad. Everyone's making me hungry. Greens chopped up, some pickled asparagus, cheese, red onion, hard-boiled egg. Yum. You guys are killing me. I'm probably going to stop here and get myself a quick coffee. We have Miss Toyka in the house. And we have Miss Melissa saying hello. All right. Now, I want to share a couple things with you. I want to just, first of all, I want to recommend that everybody, if you haven't, make sure you read Millie Copper's books. September is Preparedness Month. I have a couple blog posts coming out and probably some videos to back that, some stuff going on Instagram. You hear me talking about preparedness all year long. I just don't focus on it in September. It's an all year long thing. But I want to highlight a couple things that you guys probably haven't thought of. But with Millie Copper's books, if you are not normally a preparedness-minded person, because I thought it was funny. Toyka shared, I was talking the other week about separating from the phones, and Toyka shared that she left her phone sitting behind and then she ran out. And instantly my preparedness mind kicks in and says, no, you need to set it aside or put it on airplane mode, but you got to make sure you have it with you when you're out and about and when you're doing things that are dangerous, because then you have it as a tool to connect with the help you need. So my mind is always on that, always. And I say to think out of the box. And I believe sometimes people don't really know how to do that or understand what I mean by that. And it's just really thinking of all the things that you use and that you need to exist. And of course, people always think of what they need immediately, but there's lots of things that you use just not on a regular basis that are essential. And I want to just kind of hit on that today and just focus on those couple things today and let you guys share some things that pop in your mind. But Millie Copper's books are fabulous because they're cozy apocalyptic. You could read them with your children, and it spurs the thinking necessary to be prepared for unusual situations. In this book, there's an EMP and everything shuts down. It's a really good display of what happens with the human thinking and how people behave when they start getting uncomfortable. Sorry about that. I got a call. Hopefully you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up, hearts, or something so I know you guys are still out there listening.
It's me getting a call.
I know, but it rings on my phone. I know. But you can find Millie Copper's books by going to TrayerWilderness.com/Millie Copper, and it's MILLIECOPPER. So Toyka, I don't know if I did say hello that you're in the house or not, but hello, I saw you pop in. Jane says, Kelly, that's how I eat my cucumbers, to red wine vinegar, oil, olive oil, and salt and pepper. That's just so amazing. And balsamic vinegar. I just love that. I love that. So I am going to pour myself a cup of coffee. And while I am doing that, I want to mention a couple things to you. So if you were in a situation, a preparedness situation, and it became long-term, you know, Mountain Ben and I have joked around that if it all falls apart, we'd be sunk because we'd have to find old Coke bottles to make ourselves glasses so that we could see. Typically, with most people as they age, what they lose is their ability to see up close. So one thing that I have stocked up on, especially since that is part of my issue, the mountain man being 10 years younger, hasn't hit that yet, but he will. So I'm also stocking up for him because I'm already, when it comes to reading glasses, I'm at a 2. And so my prescription is like between a 2 and a 2 1/4. So I've got those for myself, and I've got readers for the mountain man so that he can, if his vision starts to go, that he has them and can fall back on them, because really, guys, you know, you see what the mountain man does. If he can't see up close to see what he's doing with some of his awesome projects, it would be a struggle. So if our vision goes, having backups and being prepared is a smart idea. So how many of you have thought of reading glasses as something to keep in your preps? Not too many, possibly, but you guys might surprise me. Okay, sorry, I needed coffee. All right, I'd pour you guys one and you could come join me, and I would thoroughly enjoy that. It's beautiful, and we could sit out at my fire pit. Can't have a fire yet, but after this weekend I can. So Miss Toyka says, I hadn't thought of that, Tammy. I was just thinking I didn't have a leash. Okay, yep. And those, you know, these are the things we got to think about. Is that leash for a dog or your husband? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. You laugh. I had a leash on you when you were little because you wouldn't stay anywhere close. Am I going to need one for you when you're an adult? You are an adult.
I'll need one for you.
Maybe when I get senile, you might need a leash for me.
Old and senile.
I'm going to make your life challenging, I'm sure.
I wonder how far away that is.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Pretty close or pretty far?
Melissa says, my great aunt used to soak cucumbers in milk and vinegar. So good. Oh, yes. That was something that my mom used to do, too. Kind of like a version of pickled, a pickled type. Let me see here. Melissa says, I wear glasses, have a looking glass. Mold affected eyes a bit, need to strengthen eyes. Yes. Oh, speaking of which. I think you guys will be able to see this the right way. Tell me if it's backwards or the right way. But this right here is a great supplement for the eyes. It helps strengthen and rebuild vision. And I am noticing a difference with that. So hopefully you guys, yeah, I think you can see it because on my screen that I'm watching, it's the right way. And I had the same struggle, Melissa, with the mold and all the toxicity. I lost my vision so quickly. It just got very blurry, and my reading level just deteriorated pretty quick. So awesome. Jane says, a dollar store readers all over this house and car. You know what's really funny? I used to always get a kick out of it when older people, when you get in their cars and there'd be reading glasses all over, and you get in their house and there's reading glasses all over. I'm totally getting it now. My house is riddled with reading glasses also because I have them attached to this while I'm outside. I stepped on a pair when we were building. I lost a pair when we were building. The mountain man found those and actually fixed them. And those things like have 9 lives. I've had those for probably, good grief, I don't know, 12 years. So they've got 9 lives. They've been hanging in. But these, yesterday, Austin's like, what in the world is all over your glasses? When they're hanging on here and I'm bending down, copper will either lick them or nuzzle them. So I get these dog smears all over my glasses. But it's really funny. I get it now. I get it now. But that is something very worthy of having and hanging on to because, you know, you never know. And glasses are something that can get broken very easily. If you have prescription glasses that get broken and you don't have anything to fall back on, some of you can't see at all without your glasses. I can't read my phone without my glasses on. So everything's blurry. So it would definitely be a struggle. So that's one thing to think about. Key says we have all soil types here and just alter the drilling gear to suit conditions. Yeah, I would love to see what all you're using over there and what you're doing. So if you are willing to share, you mentioned about sharing it, I would love to see. Because in the next 2 weeks, we're hoping to get that in there. And good to know, because we mainly we're clay. And right now the clay is, you know, dusty and dry. It goes through, you know, the seasons change it. One minute it's as hard as a rock and like a cinder block, and other times it's like powder. So it's really crazy. And I'm sure you can relate. Tracy said, I would love to sit and have a cup with y'all. That would be fun. We have talked about it. We need to all get together in one place. We got plenty of room here, plenty of space for tents. We hopefully will have 2 guest cabins here soon. That'll probably be next year. After the shop is done, mind you. Kelly says, just got Mike a year's supply of contacts. We have lots of readers all around the house. Yep. So those are definitely something to think about. Something else to think about is zip ties, duct tape, epoxies. You know, having those things on hand, they're not things we use all the time. But, you know, in a situation like that, and let's just say it's like a long-term situation, stuff is going to break. And stuff is going to be dysfunctional, and the only way we're going to be able to keep things going is to repair them ourselves. Now, for us, that's a normal process. But if you don't have those things on hand, those are some really good things to have on hand. Really good things to have on hand. And zip ties alone are something you ladies could carry in your bags. They make great handcuffs. They make great security things. So securing those that you spray with your hot sauce and so forth, you know. Look at this mug. Is this not awesome? I love it. I love it. I love it. Toika says, heck, I have 6 to 7 pair of readers around the house on a regular basis and different magnifications for different projects. So you're all set. Okay, Melissa says, thanks, Tammy. Yes, got it on the supplement. Okay, good deal. Oh, thank you, Miss Melissa. She says, everybody please like. Yes, I appreciate your likes. I love your comments more. But all of those help us to reach more people. And that is our goal, is to, I don't want just numbers. I want to increase our reach so that we can help people reach Jesus, but also so that we can help people to be informed, educated, and have the right skills and knowledge to continue to move forward and also inspire and encourage along the way. So, definitely like and leave your comments. We love hearing from you. If you're watching the replay and I ask a question, go for it, answer it. We love to hear from you. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. And you can hit the little bell next to the subscribe button and set that to on so that you are notified every time I'm live and when I upload videos. I am live from now on every Wednesday at 10:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we also have a kids corner every Friday at 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. I've been reading to them for the last several months. We are waiting for book number 3 of Lost on Hope Island. So in the meantime, I am teaching them skills. So today we're going to be covering seed saving and dehydrating. And in the next 2 weeks, I'll be teaching them how to make some items, preparedness and survival items for themselves. And I'm actually going to send them out some kits that they can have on hand so that when I do the class, they can be doing it with me. So doing some really neat things with them, educating them as well, because they need to be educated, guys. Our kids, and I know you guys here with me know that and are doing that. But spread the word to those that may not, so that they have a place to gather. I want to be able to encourage and inspire these kids too. That was another nudge. I had no idea what I was doing when I started it. God just told me to do it, and it was so awesome, and it has been so awesome forming this relationship with these kids and doing these things. So you can sign up for that by going to TrayerWilderness.com/kidscorner. And we also do a Thursday night Bible study. It's at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. And you can join us by going to TrayerWilderness.com/Bible Study Book Club. And most importantly, we have a community away from YouTube that you can join to share, educate. Everybody can ask questions. No question is stupid. And you are able to ask your questions. You're able to share your knowledge. Others are able to do the same. And we are really feeding on that and really helping one another. And as well as praying for one another, and the inspiration and encouragement that's coming out of there is awesome. Lots of friendships being formed. So you can go to TrayerWilderness.com/community and join us there. So thank you, Melissa, for sharing that. You guys have been busy here, so let me jump back. So Toyka says, does anyone have recommendations for a solar hand crank radio? I can get you one. I'm also looking for a bunch of different tools myself. And I would like to try out the solar headlamps. The thing with the solar items is they are great until you hit multiple days of gray weather. But the benefit is that a lot of the solar items can charge other items. So if you have something that you're not using as often, that you can charge things like your headlamps and so forth from, and also having a power bank like I have, the Ninja Bats are fabulous to be able to hook to a solar panel and be able to recharge, and then those things can be your charging bank for all of your gear. So I will check on that and get back to you on that if no one else has any recommendations. So Jane says Ecuador. I must have missed something. Maybe somebody asked, but that's where Miss Jane is headed. And Toyka says, oh, epoxy. Yes, epoxy, things like that. For us, just as an example, okay, shoes are going to eventually become an issue. So you have multiple pairs of shoes. What happens when those shoes wear out? So I've got a lot of hides that I have on hand to make our leather products. We also know how to brain tan hides, which we will be teaching. And from there, being able to make things, the lacing would be rawhide. So, and you could also use small strips of the actual hide itself to do lacing for shoes. I also have on hand, and this will eventually run out, but currently I have on hand ground rubber from tires and a heavy duty rubber cement. And I mix them together and put those on the soles of my shoes. You can also double sole the shoes with double leather, or like when I make, I'm making a pair of moccasins for a friend, actually repairing a pair of moccasins for a friend, and I'm going to stitch on the bottom of his elk hide moccasins a piece of very thick cowhide that we typically use for sheaths and such for our knives and even guns and stuff. The mountain, we both work with the leather, but the mountain man does a lot of that. And also having that thick leather for belts. I mean, you can use, our mind is very old school. So we have a lot of things on hand and know also in the wild the things we can use to make these things happen. But I have that stuff on hand and lots of sinew to be able to stitch things so that I can make our own shoes. Having fabric on hand so that you can make skivvies and other clothes. Many of you are already seamstresses and sewers. Miss Tammy does a lot of sewing, and so she would be able to, given that she has the right materials on hand, be able to make her family all that they need as well. Extra sheets, extra bedding, extra sleeping bags. Melissa says, I want a pail and a swim noodle just in case. Exactly. That would make a great potty. And you can actually, you can get a 5-gallon bucket anywhere. And online you can find lids that have a lid on them. It looks like a regular toilet seat. Oh, I got you, Jane. Jane says Ecuador is in a meeting place. Again, I was jumping, so get it. And that would be awesome. That would be awesome. That would be a good healing place for most of us. But you can get the toilet seats online for under $20. and having those on hand. I have a bucket with a plunger so that I can wash our toilet paper, homemade toilet paper, if we have to go that route. And I also have one to wash my clothing in as an aid in keeping our clothing clean, as well as the washboard, wash basin. I would love to have an old wringer here to make that process a little easier, but we haven't found one yet. And you can purchase just the wringer piece to put on a galvanized bucket. So there are all kinds of things out there that we can secure to make sure that we are able to do the things we need to do. And you can always go to the river and use a rock. Toika says, yeah, also great when adult kids get out of control. Exactly. Jane says, Toika, I have a crank radio. I can't remember the brand. Art Bell used to push the brand on his talk radio show. Awesome. Well, maybe you can share that next week, Jane, if it's locatable. Toika says the zip ties. Yes, zip ties are great to have on hand for a lot of things. You know, you could easily secure plastic to things with that and be able to create yourself a greenhouse, a hoop house. Zip ties are priceless. They have endless uses, just like duct tape. My brother-in-law had his whole car held together when we were seniors in high school with duct tape. Okay, these bangs are driving me crazy. So there we go. Sorry, guys, but I can't stand that. That drives me absolutely batty. Okay, much better. All right. Keith says, rule of thumb, if you have clay, water is not far away. If it is too hard, you know how I remove it. All right. So when it's too hard, are you using water also? Is that what you're using to go through the clay when it's like that, Keith? Oh, never mind. It's sunk in, and I get it, and I know what you use. Never mind. Funny. All right, awesome. Yeah, we need to fly you over here. I think that's what we need to do. Deb says, sorry, I missed you earlier. Totally spaced. This was so much going on, communicating with so many new folks. Love you, Tammy, and all. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here, and that's good. And it's good to be busy, and it's good to have all that you have going on. I'm excited for you. Toika says, smart to Melissa. Yes, with the toilet. Pool noodle in a bucket. You know, you make work, you find things. It's simple. You know, Miss Deb was here and she was very surprised that our composting toilet that we've created does not have any odor to it whatsoever. And it's really amazing. And that's using our sawdust from our sawmill. So, and for us, having extra saw blades on hand is absolutely essential, or that will deem our sawmill useless. Now, the mountain man does have he made his own tool to sharpen them, but if they break, at which point then we would be sunk. Like I said, we do have crosscut saws, two-man saws. We are completely equipped to have all the tools we need to replace all the electric or gas-powered tools that we currently use. We have block and tackle, pulleys, you know, so exactly. Now, one of the things I want is a hand crank blender. They're out there, they're made. I was trying to find an antique one, and I haven't been able to find one yet. I believe it is Layman's that has one, and they're like a $300 unit. But having something like that on hand would be very useful for me just to do smoothies every morning, because I can't use the electronics. Sometimes, Keith, he says I have a good memory. Sometimes when it decides to work. I'll read the rest in just a second. But yeah, having all those tools to back up what we normally use. And, you know, like I said, with Deb, with the toilet, you know, a lot of people think right away because I remember this actually myself. When I was going to school, there was one girl in our school whose family did not have plumbing. So they used an outhouse. And, you know, the rest of the class was like mortified by that and just didn't get it, you know. now I get it. And I'm right there, and I'm totally for it, because it just makes life so much simpler. You don't have to shell out 30 grand or more to have a well put in. You don't have to spend the same amount of money to put a septic system in. You know, you can do these things on your own. And I love our setup. Granted, it is nice to have a bathroom and running water in your home. I'm totally there with that too. But it doesn't mean that you're lesser, and you still have the provisions you need and the things you need to function. Okay, let me see here. Deb says, I'm at work now, so just can listen. Well, we're glad you're here. Tammy says, my girls are looking forward to it. Awesome. I love spending time with Tammy's daughters. We have such a good time, and there's a connection building there, and it's a lot of fun. We had other kids joining earlier, but they had a big move in their lives, and they haven't returned, and they were a lot of fun too. That was Nicole's children, and I hope they make it back at some point. But and we have a lot of people that I can see are watching the replays. They're just not joining us live, so you know, we're reaching people, and that's awesome. Carol says, I gotta go, guys. My daughter is here. Love and hugs and prayers to all you guys. Extra love and prayers for the furball #1. We'll send up the thoughts to help you guys at this weekend. Thank you. I appreciate it, sweet friend. Love you. Give your family a hug for me, and tell Lorenzo I said hi. And you take care. Keep in touch if you need anything. Melissa says chlorophyll is another staple I would like. Someone told me keeping hyssop is great too. Yes. Yeah, having those on hand, you know, having all of your supplements and your herbs, you know, the things that you need the most, like if you're making something on a regular basis, I do a golden milk a lot of times, and I want to have all those things on hand. And just knowing the different recipes that I could be making and that I could use for my family for varying things, I have those herbs on hand. So also essential oils. I can't say that enough. Herbs and essential oils and the books to go along with it if you don't have a lot of knowledge, but to be able to fall back on for your knowledge. The books have cautions. They walk you through things, so that is really helpful. Learning as much as you can on those lines is really good too. And I want to recommend Rocky Mountain oils to you guys. I got their pumpkin spice latte is what it is. And I had that running through my diffuser this week. I got it 2 days ago, and oh my goodness, I know it's a woman thing. Us ladies like that pumpkin spice. It goes along with the fall. I've got my pumpkin right behind me here on my table. Miss Deb gifted me with a pumpkin, so that's sitting right there. And my view and the coffee with a little bit of pumpkin spice in it, and all that good stuff. So the pumpkin spice latte is an amazing smell, and it's also got the cinnamons in it and the cloves in it. So it's actually helping you with getting rid of germs in your home while it's diffusing, but it smells amazing. So go to TrayerWilderness.com/oils, and they have a great program there where you get points for your purchases, and you can use those points toward more oils. And by using our link, you guys oftentimes will get discounts and different things. I have a special thing coming up that I'm going to promote soon. And they have great oils, and their prices are good, and they have sales all the time. As a matter of fact, right now they have a bunch of sales going on. And I also want to introduce you to a tea company in a little bit here. I'll share that with you in a bit. My thing is still downloading. I have to see if I can get my notes for today. But check below. There's lots of links below in the description. Let me see here. Barring an EMP parts, oil, filters, etc. for vehicles, also fabric for sewing or mending clothes, thread, needles for a machine, or for sewing by hand, lightweight yarn for darning socks. Yes, exactly. I was hoping you'd chime in on that because I have a lot of yarn and that for socks as well. Lots of wool. Now, Miss Kelly, do you still have some of the sheep? I was pretty sure you kept some, but Kelly was doing her own wool, spinning her own wool and creating her own yarn. So, you know, having the animals to be able to provide for the needs as well is really important. But absolutely, all those things. And we all know needles break. So having extras is really important to be able to just continue. You know, you got to think, you know, this stuff is going to wear out eventually over time. And, you know, we could walk around like Adam and Eve after they sinned. Wearing their leather hides and so forth, and until they learned how to make cloth out of the weeds and so forth. But having the things we need is going to be extremely important. And none of us want to walk into a long-term situation. Short-term situations are hard enough. But if we prepare for that and it happens, it's going to be a lot easier for us than if we were not. And for me and my family, you know, we trust God for everything. So God's going to provide for our needs, even if we don't have what we need. I trust that. But he also wants us to be active. And I don't want to do a but. I'm learning not to like that. Darn, the doctor's office was just calling. Oh, all right, I'm going to have to call them back. I don't remember what I was saying. Okay, I was starting to say about the butt. Deb introduced me to Stacey Wallace, and I've been watching and listening to her materials. And she said something the other day in a training I was watching, and this is so true. So if we say something like, if I were to say something to Deb, I love what you did, but, and then I have something negative to follow it up with, or even that but in the middle, that indicates that you just voided out, I love all that stuff, and you're now hitting it with a bomb. And the way it was put is, when we think like a but, we act like an arse. So it's kind of interesting to think about. So I've been really cautious in using that. So let me rephrase what I just said. I fully and 100% trust God to take care of my family. I have no anxiety, fear, worry, stress over our current times. I don't like them. I think that what we are going through is ridiculous, but I am not fearful because I know God's going to take care of me. And with that, he also wants us to be active and proactive. You guys have heard me saying that over and over again. He meets us in the middle. If we were just sitting on our can doing nothing, he'd watch us. It would be like sitting your butt in the sand in the story I have shared with you guys. So keep that in mind. Let's be proactive. Let's be active in our situation, and let's think of all these things and be prepared for what could be coming. Don't know what's coming, but like I said, it's not a waste of time. It's not a waste of money. It puts you in a place of total preparedness. Medical things is always going to be a very, very important aspect in things. Having sutures, you can purchase them online. I talk too much. But having sutures, having herbs and supplements, and growing your own herbs so that you can continue to replenish them, letting them go to seed so they continue to come back. Most of us can forage what we need to be healthy and well just in our surroundings. So, and knowing how to do that is extremely important. So keep that in mind. One of the things with Kelly that she shared is, I'm very grateful to have my grandfather's treadle sewing machine. So having things like that, having hand crank coffee grinders, having percolators, these are all really important aspects to things. But, you know, when I say think out of the box, I want you thinking through the whole process of not just your day-to-day, but your life and your existence in where you are and how you need to function and to maintain things and to keep going in your current place. I had water is another thing. You know, people always think that they have enough water. Water is something we consume so greatly and we have to have, you know, so if you have water in storage, get more, because it's likely you're going to need more. Knowing where you can access a spring, knowing where there's a creek, knowing where there's a river, having things to, my Gosh, my brain is not working. This week has been like really draining on the brain, so forgive me. Water purification, having water purification of different kinds. That lifesaver that we were using for our shower comes with 3 or 4 of the charcoal filters, having extras of those filters, knowing how to filter your water without the store-bought filters. You can use charcoal, you can use fire ash, you can use sand. There's ways to filter your water beyond having store-bought material things. So knowing that and being aware of that, when you find a spring, you know, you want to find the source if you can, not downstream but if you can find the source, getting it from the source is your most wholesome place to get it. So just thinking of those things. Kelly says shortwave radio, solar generator will work along with a fuel generator. Yes. Yes, exactly. The shortwave radios are really important. You know, Toyka asked about a solar. I have a hand crank, and right now I can't think of the name. It's in a red box. But yes, having those things. Some of you might choose to have a ham radio. That's not something that we've learned. But having a ham radio is an awesome way to communicate and something that is very useful to have and know. And highly recommended. It's on our list. But again, we can only do what we can do, and I don't want you to stress over that. You know, we only have so many funds to be able to get the things we need. But if you're aware of the things you need, keep a list so that when you do a fund, you can maybe secure them. The other thing is, it might be something you can find, trade, or barter at a later time. Keep your list. Don't just randomly think of these things and go, well, I don't have the funds, you know, what's the point? No, make the list so that you're prepared. It's out of your head onto paper. It's more secure. It's there. You can refer back to it. And it is something that you can utilize down the road. Like I said, in securing, finding, bartering. So do that. Yes, guns and ammo. Also, archery things, because guns and ammo are great, but if you're in a survival situation and you want to be not easily located, you want to be able to have fires with low smoke. You want to be able to keep the noise down to a minimum. So being able to use a bow and arrow is really a wise choice. When it comes to hunting and things like that, you will be able to secure your meats without being detected. And archery is something that we are well versed in, although I've got to practice and get my arms back up to snuff and my shoulders. But long bows, crosscut bows, not crosscut bows, crossbows, and your recurves, having all of that equipment, having arrows, knowing how to make arrows, you know, these are things that we need to think about. Knives, having knives, knowing how to sharpen knives, knives for hunting, knives for in your kitchen, sharpening those knives and being able to keep moving forward. Those are important things. It is an Eaton FRX2 Red Cross recommended. It also has a flashlight. You go, Tammy. All right, so there you go, Miss Toyka. Traps for animals. Yes, ma'am. Snares also. Having the traps, having the snares, having the things to work with them, knowing how to adjust them. The mountain man does a lot of manual adjustments to his traps. Snares are great also. And having that material on hand is also really good. Having a lot of paracord is something else that's really worth your time having on hand. That stuff is usable for so much. Having fishing gear on hand. Fishing line, hooks, and know that fishing line over the years will dry rot. So if you have it on hand, check it. Make sure it's still good. Nothing worse than getting a fish on the line and your line breaking. So having fresh fishing line, and each of our packs, day packs included, have a small fishing kit, either in a shotgun shell or in an old medicine tube. And you can put so much stuff in that. So having that stuff on hand, being able to secure your own food. You can create traps for crayfish. And if you're, depending where you are, what kind of waterways you have and what kind of fish and things are accessible. The kids in my kids corner learned how to make a fish trap for on the beach because they are stranded on a deserted island. So learning how to create your own spears and your own tools, learning how to flint knap and be able to make your own arrowheads and your own tools that way as well is a priceless skill. That's, you know, we do a lot with bushcraft too. The Mountain Man has done a lot of videos on that. I got to get those videos onto this channel. He had them on his Mountain Man journals. You can go check them out there. Knowing how to light fires without a lighter. You know, our lighters are going to eventually run out. What about matches? You know, you can only have so many, and when they run out, then what? You need to learn how to start fires in other ways. I was joking the other day with it being a tinderbox here. I'm almost afraid to wear these glasses when I walk out here because of all the dry grass and the bright sun that I'm probably like setting little lasers all over with my glasses and the sun that I start lighting fires, you know, but a lot of fires like that in the summertime. And practicing your skills, being aware of your abilities and exercising, walking. You know, a lot of us try to fit that into our schedules, but I think it's a must that we should get out and walk. Miss Laura, who is not on here right now, who could not walk because of health issues, is now walking 1.5 miles every day, and it takes her a half an hour. Huge praise. Her progress trickled down, and others got inspired and are walking now too and increasing their abilities. So many people have their day packs, their 72-hour packs sitting by the door, but they've never used the stuff in them. They've never packed that weight. You start packing weight on your back, you will not be able to carry it for a very long period of time. So you're either going to ditch your pack or start unloading stuff. Neither is good. So make sure you're working out and you're re-strengthening. Guys, I was flat on my back for 15 days and I lost muscle mass again, and it's driving me nuts, but it's also fueling my fire. This girl's getting back, and I'm not allowing things to take me down and take me out. So, you know, do these things. Write your list. Know what you've got to do and make time for it. And one of the things that Kelly said that I jumped over, that I just saw like jump out at me, is the awl. That is what I use to do a lot of my stitching with my leather. An awl can look like a bunch. It can be made differently. The Mountain Man made a traditional awl for one of our customers. It was a custom item that he made. He hand forged it, and I think that was made out of a railroad spike. And it was just a piece of metal that she could tap on to put the holes in so that she could then later stitch. There are awls today that the back unscrews and you can put your sinew or your nylon thread in there and string it through and thread your awl. And when you're poking the needle, you can use it to poke holes in and then also stitch at the same time. So it's a great tool. It's a great tool to have to do all kinds of different stitching. You can use it for canvas, you can use it for shoes and leather work. So it's something really useful to have on hand. Keep in mind, worst came to worst, you could also use a nail and a hammer to do the same thing, but an awl is more pointed and would give you better penetration and options there. So just keep that in mind. Thinking out of the box is finding things to replace what isn't working too. You guys are gonna laugh, but with the Mountain Man working the hours that he is, 16 hours a day, some days, others 12, minimum 12, you know, he's whoop tired. And I had problems with the shower house, the head for the shower unit, and it was always very stiff. It wouldn't turn on, but the button that you push to turn turn it on and off broke. It's a little piece of plastic. So I've been using a heavy duty tweezers, because it has a spacer in there, and I can connect on, and it's not that I'm pinching it, I'm actually using it in there in a groove to push up and down. So I'm using a little bit more water. It's a little slippery and not the easiest, but I'm improvising. I'm thinking out of the box. So you do what you do. I could have used the needle nose pliers. So there's options. There's things we can always do, and things and ways we can always replace things. There's lots of traditional ways to do things. Like I said, you want lye to make your traditional soap with a lot of fat. If you can't get lye, you can use your ashes from your fire. There's lots of things. We need to hone in on what those skills are that we need to know, and things that we need to know and think about. So Toika says, I was blessed with a treadle sewing machine 2 years ago. Haven't used it yet, but happy. Exactly. They're awesome. They're so awesome. And I love the cast iron legs. I actually salvaged cast iron legs out of the barn at the house that I grew up in. They were there when we got there, and I've carried them through my whole life. And I had made that table that you guys saw in the previous homestead. That is in the container right now in storage. That'll probably get put in my shop. Toika says, my husband has his head in the sand, doesn't want me buying anything for prepping, wants to move into a motorhome. It's hard, guys. You know, so often I've heard this in the past. Now, not as much, because people are really seeing the forest through the trees. A lot of are. There's still so many with their head in the sand, though. I will agree, Toika. But more and more people are seeing it and feeling the weights of our world right now. But there is nothing harder than getting a partner on board that doesn't get it and doesn't see the need. In my opinion, the best way to combat that is to make sure you have all their favorite things on hand, so that if you lose power or, you know, some kind of natural disaster goes through, heaven forbid, that things get uncomfortable for a little bit, 3-4 days, and you can still provide for all of their needs. You have all of their special things, their favorite chocolate, their favorite coffee creamer, their whatever, you know your spouse, but have those things on hand. And because when you're in those situations, very quickly the mindset changes, and, you know, it gets old after a while. You know, people living in tents like we did, that would have gotten very old very quickly. For us, it was such an adventure, but the average man would get very uncomfortable very quickly. So when you have their favorite things on hand and are able to nurture their needs and provide and help them to realize that it's because you set this stuff aside and because you prepared ahead that you were able to bless him with those things, that might help. Motorhome wouldn't be totally bad, but what's your area like for winters? Are you rainforest area in that part of Washington, Toika? But small spaces are better as far as heating. That's one of our benefits here. We get cooked out of here with our wood cook stove. I'll be doing a wood cook stove video soon too. But it is hard. It is so hard to get our families on board. So keep working at it. And as things unravel and transpire, you know, they're going to start feeling uncomfortable. So, and in your situation, I totally believe that God will take care of you, because you've been crying out and you've been praying. I know that. And we've been praying for you. So, you know, when we are unable, guys, we were totally unable for 6 years. It was a really, I could say it was a really awful place, but because of our mindset, because of our lifestyle, and because of our faithfulness, we didn't go without. God provided for every single need we had, whether financial or material. He provided. So those of you that are in a place that can't do anything, you can make your lists and you can be aware of what your needs are, and you can pray about those needs. And I promise you, God will take care of you. So don't just sit there and not do anything. Prepare your lists and think about all the things and be in that place and have your mindset thinking of those things, bringing them into your world, and you pray about them and just keep trusting God to provide for them. And I promise you. So I don't want to put you guys in a panic place when I talk about all these things, because we were in that place and we know what it's like. But we also know that when you are active, God meets you there. So, and when you are steadfast in prayer and fully trusting God, because like it says in the Bible, you can't be wishy-washy. You need to believe. So we will pray about that, Toika. But keep doing your part on that and be as prepared as you can be. Deb says, I agree. Hair in my face or anyone else's when I'm communicating with them is frustrating to me. Yes, it drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely batty. And with these bangs, I've got to wait for them to get long enough that when I put them up on the top of my head, they stay there, but they don't. So hats it is. So my good EMF hat will be like such a blessing, as is this one. I had it handy because, man, that drives me nuts. Jane says, C. Crane is the brand name crank radio. Okay, thank you. Thank you for putting that on there. Keith says you have a good memory. Also, did you check your pH when you were sick? You know, I did not when I was sick, but I've been making a huge effort to increase my pH because if I recall correctly, when your pH is at its most optimal, sorry about that, another call came through. When our bodies are at a full pH, the maximum pH it should be, our bodies are not able to have illness and disease in it. So I'm under the understanding that when it's like that, you can actually completely ward off and heal of cancer. So being that one of the things that has been happening to me is that, I don't know if you can see that, but those all just appeared this summer. And a good majority of that is all precancerous skin. But I have just started applying coconut oil, aloe vera, sandalwood essential oil, tea tree essential oil, lavender essential oil. I could put heliocrysum in that as well, and I feel like I'm missing something. But in doing so, I'm seeing a lot of results there because the doctor wanted me to put on a chemo cream. And if you look, which most of us don't, we are handed the paperwork for the medications we get, and we might look over the information to see what the side effects are. But as it starts getting, you don't understand what it's saying, you disregard it and put it away, put it in the bag, throw it in the trash, and you don't look at it. The chemo cream, which I would never put anywhere close to my body, let alone on it, causes cancer in other parts of the body. Isn't that great? So I'm on my own journey now, and having my pH as high as I can will also help in that. So Keith has been a blessing in sharing his knowledge with me as well. So pretty awesome. And I did think about checking it. When I was sick, I couldn't think about anything. That was something. But it's over, and I'm processed it, and I'm through it, and my immune system should be so much better for it. So Miss Kelly says, Tammy T, look up Charles Dodig with his new dig method. He's had great success. He's on YouTube. Does he use water, Kelly? High pressure water? I'm just curious. Because that's what we're planning to do. Deb says, howdy everyone, have to listen, love you all, I'll be re-listening soon. All right, awesome. Toika says, my grandpa during the 40s cut and put cardboard inside shoes that had been worn holes through. Yep. There's so many things we can do. If you have duct tape, you can duct tape them together, thinking out of the box. Miss Toika asked what happened to Furball number 1. Furball number 1 is Rambler. He is the healer. and he is not doing well. He's losing function of his back half, his hips and his legs, and he's doing a lot of falling and not able to get up off the floor last night, which was a first. He can't hear, and he's been blind, somewhat blind for a while, and I think he went totally blind yesterday because he was walking into absolutely everything. So he's very skinny. His body is shutting down. If I had to guess, he probably has cancer somewhere. He's 13 going on 14, and he's had a really good life, but it was a rough life for him. They did a lot. He was running cattle for a long time. He was in the back country for a long time, and has been here. And so, it's just going to be his time soon. So, if you could, it's Glenn's dog, but it's been ours also for the last 12. So it's a hard process because our dogs are part of the family. They're, I know. So that's what's wrong with him. So, it will definitely transpire this weekend one way or the other, just because we don't want him to suffer. So I'm going to have a friend who has a backhoe that's functioning to dig a hole for me today. And I could dig one. It's not something I have to have super huge, but he's handy. So I'm going to have him swing over. So yeah, so just keep us in prayer for that. Melissa says, yes, liquor for tinctures or ACV, cheesecloth, herbs, garlic is a great one to keep. Absolutely. Absolutely. All the things for your herbs. I have a pill maker, the capsule maker, have extra capsules on hand. 100 proof vodka is extremely good to have on hand for multiple reasons, not only your tinctures and stuff, but if you have to do any stitching, any other heavy duty medical stuff, it's good to have that on hand as well for that. But yeah, cheesecloth, ACV is your apple cider vinegar, and learning how to make your own of that is also really priceless. Toika says, thinking about taking the basic herbal class online. Their classes are fabulous, and I would highly recommend it. I use Herbal Academy, and I know I have a link for that. I have to think about it. I'll put that. I'll say that in a second. Melissa says, I would keep extra strength oregano as well. Absolutely. And growing your own oregano, having your seeds for oregano. Absolutely. 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 And you can use that in your food to get the same thing, or encapsulate it, make tea. Yes. Same with tea tree. Tea tree oil is another one to keep on hand. So many great uses. Elderberries, they grow locally here. They don't get harvested. The animals don't even go after them. It's kind of weird. But harvesting those, drying those, having them on hand. Kelly says, still spinning, sold to use when we went to Arizona with Courtney. I thought, okay, I couldn't remember 100% there. But have dozens of full fleeces on hand. That's awesome. That's awesome. So yes, when you have your animals and you can produce that kind of thing on your own, what a benefit. And then to have the tools to take care and spin it and so forth is just tremendous. Deb says, I put duct tape on bottom of cardboard cut to go inside some of my shoes, needing something more. Yep. And cardboard is a great insulator. So like, for example, our bathhouse is not insulated. The Mountain Man is helping a friend install their solar system. And their solar panels all came with probably about a 1/4 inch thick foam around each of the panels, and they were going to pitch it, and I love his mind. He grabbed it. We're going to put that in the bathhouse along with cardboard to help secure and at least give us a little bit more insulation and close off some of the drafty areas in there. So there's so much we can do for ourselves, guys. And that foam is something you could trace your foot and cut out and do the same. Having these things on hand, a lot of my parents thought we were nuts. They thought we were the Clampetts and Sanford and Son, and just thought it was disgusting. There's that noise again, Austin. My wash line, I have lanterns hanging on the wash line, and when the wind blows and it rattles it, it sounds like an alien ship is landing out back. It's the craziest sound. But my parents thought we were nuts and thought that our place looked like an eyesore and that it was terrible that we have all this stuff. Notice we didn't get rid of it just for them, because you have seen the fruits of his labor and the things that have come out of the scrapyard, as we call it, that have become useful. That was the wood stove that's in the bathhouse, was in our tent and kept us warm. You know, he's got so many capabilities and is able to do so many things. So I am blessed. I am blessed to have that. I know Kelly has that with her husband. Not everybody has that, but the more we learn to try things and the more we learn to think out of the box, the better off we can be. And the better off we can provide for ourselves. So just keep that in mind. Tracy said, God tells us not to worry, but he also tells us to keep our lamps full of oil. Amen, sister. Amen. That's exactly it. We need to do the work, and we need to meet God halfway. If we're not doing our part, you know, he sees that. He's not going to make the extra effort. But when we trust, there is great benefits when we have strong faith, and it's all over the Bible. And, you know, in order to move the mountains, it's not just that you can ask. You got to have the faith to back it, to believe that you have that power. Same with healing a body. We have that power in the name of Jesus. But if we don't have the faith to back it, it's senseless words at that point. You need to have the faith to back it, and you need to have the action involved. Amen, Tracy. So Deb says, your brain is filled with God's directed knowledge and experiences that you're so caring to share and blessed to do so. I love my life. I love what we do here. You know, as Austin made the comment, and thank you, Deb. Austin made the comment that he can't wait to go home. He'll have his shower there because all he's got to do is turn on the faucet. I'm like, so because you've got to flip an extra switch at my house, it's inconvenient. Well, your water pressure. I'm like, dude, that thing shoots water out of that nozzle so hard that it hurts sometimes. I said, our water pressure is good. It's probably not hot. I'm like, I have really hot water. I have to turn it down. It's like not even quarter of the way up on the heat scale, and it's too hot. So it's really funny. Just people get in their minds that things are a certain way, and so much, you know, that's just terrible. And it's, you know, when I told people when I first got out here that we were off grid, the one lady said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. I'm like, what do you mean terrible? I'm like, I love it. Like, you were out of power for 4 days. I haven't been without power at all. You know, they just don't get it. Their mindset is so different. And, you know, we're well equipped. And sometimes it may not, you know, look as pretty as everybody else's, but I also don't have the extensive credit cards that everybody else has because they had to buy all that fancy stuff. I don't need fancy. I need functional. I don't want to have high debt. I want to live. I don't want to be focused on my finances and where the next dollar comes from. I want to enjoy my peace and my family. Choices, perspective. And I'm not saying that, you know, living the way others may be living is bad. This is my choice. But in learning to live this way and having the mindset that I do, it just made me laugh. Toyka was the perfect example when she shared, when we were talking last week, and she shared about leaving her phone at home when she ran out. And I like jumped on that, and I was laughing to myself later in the afternoon thinking about it. It's just how my mind works. My mind thinks of all these things. And when you're in a place of no fear, ooh, my belly is growling. The thing that came to mind is the other night, the Austin and I, we went for a walk, and it was dusk. So when we were coming back, it was getting dark. And I had a headlamp in my hand with my hand on the button. You know, I'm armed, and we were out walking, and the neighbor had just mentioned, neighboring weekender that comes out here for hunting was here, and he mentioned that he saw 3 wolves on elk, and we know they're out here. There's 3 of them running. They've been running all summer, and I think I've heard them a couple times here, but I'm not afraid. And Austin was really looking around and a little more concerned because of knowing that the wolves were around. He's like, aren't you afraid? I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, well, what if they come? I'm like, so then we deal with it if they come. You know, I I've just hit such a different place in my life, and I'm grateful to be where I am. It doesn't mean we do stupid or foolish things. It means we're there and we're prepared. I had my hand on the headlamp, light goes on, pistol out, whatever taken care of, you know. But I don't want to live in fear and not enjoy being able to walk by a nice moonlit night and enjoy time with my boy just because things are happening. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that makes sense. But I do think differently than the rest of the world. And I do want to share my knowledge because, like Toika said, there's so many people with their head in the sand, and right now they need to be educated. And if I can say one thing that's going to help somebody to get on the right path, and of course that would be following Jesus first, but you know, so that I can get them on the right path and help them. So it is my heart's desire. So thank you, Deb, for saying that. Kelly says extra batteries, rechargeable, and solar battery charger. Yes. Keep in mind, I want you guys to look up a Faraday cage. If we were to get an EMP, whether natural or man-made, it would take out all of our electronics. So all of that stuff would be void and useless. And like she said, you know, she had mentioned the EMP earlier when she was talking about the extra things she has for the trucks. And those are awesome things to have on hand. It would have to be older vehicles. And, you know, because of their mindset and ours, we each have one of those. So having extra, you know, parts on hand is very, very smart. Your oils, your fuels, your gas preservatives, extra gas. You know, all those things are going to eventually run out. But if we can prolong it as long as we can, all the better. But a Faraday cage, you can build your own. Right now, I will be sharing this. I'll share more on that next week, on the Faraday cage and some of your options. But having that and putting your electronics in it will help to keep your electronics safe if something like that were to happen. Kelly says extra fishing supplies, rods, reels, lines, weights, bobbers, swivels, flies, spinners, etc. Yes, exactly. And I had touched on that some before, but having that stuff in your pack as well is really wise. Just a way to secure food. I have seeds in all of my packs. If you guys haven't done that, add your favorite seeds to your packs and know how to save your seeds when they've grown. Sprouts, just eating broccoli sprouts. If you're in the wilderness and you're living off of meat and some of the greens around you, you don't know a whole lot of the plants you can eat, just sprouting sprouts, broccoli sprouts will give you the greens and the nutrition you need to help you along the way. What is the best way to strengthen your arms and back for archery? My son has a bow and he can pull it back, but I can't. That's all right, sister. That was Tracy. Okay, so you know what, Tracy, I might do a video on that to share more. But lifting weights with your arms, just little hand weights, is good. Lifting them above your head because you want to strengthen your shoulders, your back, and your back muscles running down as well as your lats. Now, I don't know if you can see this. There's a bar. There's a bar right there above me here, and it lifts up, and I actually have a weight, like the weights that would go on my weight bench, on a string, a heavy rope, and I have that secured to a stick, and I put the string over that bar, and I think right now there's only 20 pounds on it. I'm pretty sure it's only 20 pounds. But you pull down on that. You'll be working your shoulders. So you push down on it. Okay, so that'll work your shoulders. Then you pull it down this way, and that'll work your lat muscles and your back muscles. So funny you ask, because that's what I'm re-strengthening. And then also using a weight bench is helpful. But just, you don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to do those things. Just something like that. If you can rig something up that you're able to push weight down and pull weight down, and then also just lifting. You also might want to strengthen your wrists and with the weight in your hand and just lifting it back and forth gently, slowly with light weight. That'll also help strengthen these muscles. But you want to be able to strengthen your triceps, biceps. So lifting the weights in different ways. So I might do a video on that because that will be really helpful, because those are all the muscles I'm having to re-strengthen, as well as my core. My legs are good. They could be better, but these are my weak spots. And that's a good question. And you know what? It depends on the bow you're pulling back too. The old bows didn't have any release, meaning that when you pull it back, it's like you're pulling the whole thing and holding the whole way back here. The newer bows, that's what I had initially. My Matthews, you pull it back and then there's a release, and then it's like whoop, and then you're not holding any weight. The bow does the work for you. So it depends what kind of bow you have, and it would just be getting it back to the point where it releases, and then you can pull it back. And of course, the more you practice, the better. But you want to strengthen, because if you don't, and you keep trying to pull it, you're going to pull something on you. So you want to definitely work on re-strengthening that. And the thing is, practice, practice, practice. The more you can work on re-strengthening and the more you practice, the more you're going to feel that strengthening, and that's going to be huge, huge, huge. But great question. And men have different strength than we do. They were built for that. We can do it. We just need to strengthen, and it's not necessarily always muscles that we're using. So I hope that helped. Reach out to me if you want more information, and I think I will do a video on that, because these are the muscles that I'm struggling the most with too. My lats are the worst. They used to be my strongest. So I'm rebuilding. So we can rebuild together. Jane says, Altoid tin boxes are great for sewing kits, fishing boxes, first aid kits, flint boxes, easy fits in the pockets, backpacks, etc. They also make it good to make char. The Mountain Man and I have done several videos on making char. What is char? Char is any kind of cotton cloth. You can also use mullein, mullein leaves, the pith from a cattail. Trying to think of anything else in the wild. Those are two that come to mind. But an Altoids tin, if you put a small hole in the top, you put your cotton fabric, sock, old t-shirt in the inside. You have a fire lit, you put that in the fire, and you will see the fire coming out of it. It's not that the stuff inside is actually on fire. It's that the gases are going through there, the heat's in there. It is charring that cloth. And when you stop seeing that, you pull it out of the fire. What you've just created is char, which is combustible and easy to light, and enables you to get quick fires. So it's also tremendously huge and usable in wet conditions and snowy conditions to help you to light a fire when things are wet. You can use a flint and steel on it, and it'll instantly light. So there's another use for that. And yes, Altoid tins are tremendous. I love having containers like that. And to be able to carry those things, because I'm one of those organizational freaks, and I want my stuff organized in my pack. And also by labeling them, you know what's what, you know where things are. Knowing where your things are at all times in a situation like that is really important too. So organization does help, but it's not the end of the world. So yes, how about it, Jane? She's hooting Laura for her progress. Okay, so north of Seattle is where Toyka is. If I moved into a motorhome, where would I put all the prepping items? Not able to wrap my head around it. You do have a lot of storage. So motorhome being that you'd be moving all around, or would you be sedentary somewhere on a piece of property just living in a motorhome? If that's the case and you're just staying put, you could have a shed to store all your stuff. A lot of times there's racks on the top of the motorhomes, but you are limited on space and weight. So that is an issue. Yes. So get your point. If you're in one place, that's different. If you're moving around, in which case things go to poop in a handbasket, you probably won't be moving around near as much. So, which then again, you wouldn't have all your preps. So I see your point. But respond to me on that. Is it something you're moving around or staying in one spot? Melissa says maybe some poultices. Yes, exactly. Try black salve if they get worse. Ah, you're talking to me and my arms. Awesome. I do have black salve and I've made black salve. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because charcoal pulls a lot of stuff out of the system, and so does Manuka honey. Keith, what are your thoughts on that? Because they started really popping when I was doing a lot of internal Manuka. So I'm curious because that's pretty awesome, actually, that it's surfacing it, but that I'm also able to rid myself of it. So just curious. Okay. Jane says MS meds too are chemo based, raise the occurrence of breast cancer to an outrageous percentage. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But in your case, I understand. I have other friends that are dealing with MS episodes too. My one friend did a lot of this just popped in my head and I'm sorry I didn't think of it sooner, but I don't know how what your feelings are, but he was doing a lot of the experimental drugs and found some great relief, and he doesn't have near the troubles with his MS as he was. I could connect you with him. Let me see here. Melissa says, I hear dandelion root's good. Dandelion root is amazing for so many things. A good coffee alternative, but also for so many different things, inflammation, diuretics. It's just awesome to have on hand. I love using everything I can from the dandelions. It makes a good tea. You can also deep fry the flowers. They're amazing. So Kelly says, no, Charles Dowding grows his garden on clay soil and adds layers over the autumn and winter, then plant in spring. Okay, thank you. And I think I might be connected with him. And seriously, we've been finding out some interesting things because there are certain things that are really growing well in the clay. And I do like the, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. The layering approach of pulling things in from the floor of the forest and, you know, your horticulture. There's also a German way of growing, and my brain is just disconnecting at this point. I've been in front of the machine too long, so forgive me. And oh gosh, I know we've talked about it before because this is the exact growing method we used on the other homestead. I just can't think of the word. But gathering the stuff from the layering, gathering the things from the forest floor. Now we do have a lot of acid in our area because of all the pines, but you can neutralize that having manure, but oh, it keeps coming to me and going back out. Somebody will add, you know, if you know what I'm trying to say, you can put it out there, but I'll say it in a second. Charles Dowding is awesome gardener in UK. Yes, I have been following him. I can't retain everybody's names. We jump on and off and watch different people's things, but we're limited, so it's like it doesn't always stick. Kelly says, my mom's dog is blind and deaf, and today he isn't doing well. Gave him arnica and another homeopathic. He is somewhat better, but 12 years old, so time is near. Yeah, it's difficult, very difficult. Yeah, it's I have a supersonic supersonic device for copper so that when she's not listening, I can hit it. I don't hear it, but she does. But the old man can't hear it at all. So it is actually nice so that I'm not blasting him when I'm trying to blast her. And it's not something that physically hurts her. It gets her attention. But yeah, he can't hear or see anything. So yeah, prayers to you too, sister. Melissa says prayers. Sorry about your pet. Miss Deb says howdy to Austin.
What?
Miss Deb says howdy.
Hi.
He says hiya. He's man of many syllables. It's really funny.
Few syllables.
Few syllables, sorry. What did I say, many?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the moment, but yes. I agree, Melissa. That is interesting about the clay soil, so I'll have to check that out. Melissa says, I definitely want a bow. Yes. Honestly, thank you. Hugelkultur is one of them. Hugelkultur, and it came and went again. It'll come. I love archery. I love archery is my most favorite. And then I love rifle season too, but there's just something very romantic and alluring to the archery season to me. I think it's just that closeness that's required and the patience and waiting. I know a lot of guys who can't sit still and they walk around when they're archery hunting. I like to just sit still. I like to watch everything just keep changing as the day goes on. It's just pretty cool. Plus, that's just, I'm engulfed with God at that point. So it's pretty awesome. Has to run. Have a blessed day. Love you, lady. Take care. I do want to read something, but I don't know if I can on here. I had reset my iPad and it is still downloading all my notes. So I don't know. I don't know if it will show up or not in here for today. Oh, it is here. Okay, so I can read this quick. Deb says, I need to utilize my huge, healthy dandelions in my garden. I eat flowers and greens, but haven't used the roots yet. Do you have to dry the roots first? Yes. Well, I use them. I dry mine for teas and other uses, yes. And I dry them so that I can use them in the coffees and stuff because I actually grind everything up. So, yes, I do dry mine. I dry the roots. And I use the flowers for so many things. I make dandelion jelly too. So, yeah. I want to read a couple things here. It has come up. Let me just make sure that everything is here, and then I'm going to jump off because my head is starting to feel it, and we've been on here for a long time. So remember to check the links below. Oh, I can picture the gardening, and I can think of the guy's name. That's going to drive me batty now. Yeah. So today's topic was wisdom to joy, and that had come to me quite a few days back. So because we're talking about what we are, our wisdom is important. Knowledge is important. Knowledge is power, but only when you use it, and put it to use. It is good to have the knowledge and to have it in your arsenal. And I am a huge advocate of that because that's how I roll. But when you put it to action, that's when the knowledge really is. Thank you. Yes, 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 Tracy. Back to Eden. Oh my gosh, I can see his face. I can see. Yes, the back to Eden method is what I'm trying to spit out and think of. Please forgive me. Once my head starts getting like this, I can't think straight. So forgive me. Toika says, not sure about moving around or stationary, wants to be a nudist minimalist at a nudist park. No, no, no. Right. Oh, yeah. That's funny. Oh, I got low power and I'm frozen. Hang on, I got to plug in. Here we go. That's funny. That is.
About the weirdest stuff.
We talk about everything. We cover all of. Yikes! Sorry. All of life's oddities, all of life's things, and yes, we do. I don't know that there's not anything we haven't or don't touch on. So there you have it. There we go. So yeah, I don't know either what to tell you there, but just keep working at it, sister, and we'll keep praying. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. She says, when you said you could see his face, I knew who you were talking about. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, man, I hate that. As I'm rebuilding my brain from COVID, I'm having moments like this, and it is driving me crazy because this is what it was like 7 years ago when I was going through my illness, and every other word I couldn't remember. I couldn't even hold a conversation. It was absolutely terrible. So I'm in a good place. I'm regaining. So bear with me. Thank you for playing my game and being the winner today and answering those questions. Oh, golly. All right. So Proverbs 3:17. Wisdom will guide you down delightful paths. And guys, that is so true, because when we have the wisdom, we are in a much better place because we are able to function. If we don't know, that adds so much stress. So knowledge is power, and wisdom will guide you down the delightful paths. So the phone rang and I picked it up without delay. Calling was the oldest member of our church family, a vibrant, hardworking woman who was nearly 100 years old. Putting the final touches on her latest book, she asked me some writing questions to help her cross the finish line. As always, however, I soon was asking her questions about life, work, love, family. Her many lessons from a long life sparkled with wisdom. She told me, pace yourself. What have I been saying, guys? And soon we were laughing about times she'd forgotten to do that, her wonderful stories all seasoned with true joy. Wisdom leads to joy, the Bible teaches. Joyful is the person who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. And guys, the understanding is knowing that God has our back, that we are faithful, and that he is true to us. The other thing is that the joyful part of it comes from the wisdom that he shared with us and that we were willing to seek out. So that's why I share what I share with you. It all goes together. It truly all goes together, but the first and main piece is God. Period. End of story. We find that this path from wisdom to joy is a biblical virtue indeed. For wisdom will enter your heart and knowledge will fill you with joy. That's Proverbs 2:10. Write that down and meditate on it. Proverbs 2:10. That was from the NLT version. God gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy to those who please him. That is Ecclesiastes 2:26, also of the NLT. Wisdom will guide you down delightful paths, adds Proverbs 3:17. Reflecting on the matters of life, author C.S. Lewis declared that joy is the serious business of heaven. The path there, however, is paved with wisdom. My church friend who lived to be 107 would agree. She walked a wise, joyful pace to the King. Isn't that awesome? But it's very true, guys. And, you know, I say it all the time. And my comment just a second ago that God is first, period. If you have that out of a line, your peace and joy and wisdom will be out of line too. God needs to be first in everything. And, you know, I said all the different things last week, but business as well. Family, friends, finances, business, everything we do in life, your mission, everything you do in life needs to have God first. You know, oftentimes we leave out business. Business is one of the biggest things God needs to be in because he's going to provide for you in that venue. And if you have him in that first, you will, you know, in there and in it first, it's going to be abundance. And you guys have heard me say this for years. You know, God needs to be the head of everything. When God is the head of your marriage and the head of your family, everything falls into line. And God's dynamics are, and his words are key. You know, he has a dynamic for the house and the family. He has dynamics for us with wisdom. We need to seek it, but he needs to be first. Let me see here. I have quite a few that I was going to read, but because we've been on so long, I'm going to save some. All right. All right. I want you to remember this too. This is really important. I see you, Deb. That's fun. That's true. That's it. That's everything. Philippians 1:12. Everything that has happened to me here has helped. You know, we're all going through crazy stuff. There's lots of stuff happening in our world. Our lives are a roller coaster. There's always going to be an up and a down. There's always going to be a good and a bad. It's just how life is. You guys have walked out a lot of things with me. And I hope that you've seen my positive attitude and the light of Jesus through me when I was being squeezed. But I don't regret. I said it last night in the Bible study. There's not anything that I've walked through, and I've walked through it. I'm not stuck in it. I'm not looking back at it. I'm not worrying about it. It's done. Not all of it was pretty. Some of it was really grueling, but I'm through it. And I wouldn't change any of what I've walked through because it's made me who I am. It's made me the strong person who I am. It's brought me to an amazing place of faith. that I wouldn't trade for anything. My walk is amazing. And just keep in mind that where I'm at with God, you can be too. You just got to keep seeking him, loving him, wanting him, reading his word. But I don't regret anything. I want you guys to be in that place too, that you have to realize that the things that happen, you know, they say this all the time, that, you know, everything happens for a reason. Some people get tired of hearing it, but it is a great truth. There is purpose in everything, and there is good that comes from the ashes. You hear me say that all the time too. Perspective plays a huge role. You hear me say that too. But when you can realize that the things you've walked through are taking you to a new place, molding you and making you who you need to be, and also strengthening you, enlightening you, and giving you wisdom, you change your perspective on things. So again, everything that has happened to me here has helped. Philippians 1:12. Shortly before he was executed, Paul wrote, I want you to know, my dear brothers and sisters, that everything that has happened to me here has helped to spread the good news. For everyone here, including the whole palace guard, knows that I am in chains because of Christ. And because of my imprisonment, most of the believers here have gained confidence and boldly speak God's message without fear. Later on, he wrote, always be full of joy. Paul had a PMA. I like that. A positive mental attitude. He couldn't control his environment, but he chose an attitude that enabled him to overcome it. It's so important. Life is due to the fact that you're listening to yourself instead of talking to yourself. Emphasis added. When you meet people, do you tell yourself they will let you down? When you face new experiences, does a voice within you tell you you're going to fail? A man came upon a little league baseball game one afternoon when he was walking in the park. He stopped and asked a boy in the dugout about the score. He responded, 18-0, we're behind. The man said, I bet you're discouraged. The little boy replied, why should I be discouraged? We haven't been up to bat yet. What a difference an attitude of faith makes. That brings tears to my eyes just because there is such a great importance to that perspective. And you know, some people might say it's out of naivety. It's not. It's not living with pink shady glasses. It's just knowing. It's just knowing. So what a difference an attitude of faith makes. The last words recorded in the Bible are these. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. Amen. Have faith. God will give you the grace to handle it. A positive mental attitude, a PMA. So instead of PMSing, PMAing, okay, guys? Because there's so much growth and so much benefit to being in a place of peace and comfort gained from faith. And despite what our world is doing, despite what is happening around us, despite where we might be headed, there's so much hope and faith in things that we can have, and we can make our lives so much better just by staying in that place. Doesn't mean being stupid or naive or not being prepared. It just means that we are prepared in a mental way that other people will not be. And therefore, we will be at an advantage, a great, great advantage. So keep that in mind, because we also have the power of Jesus behind us. So here's another one more, and then we're going to pop off of here. Torika, I just saw your last message. I'll have to share a story then real quick. Okay, so he's our source of hope during doubts and battles. Move your fence. This is what it's called. But I love that. He's our source of hope during doubts and battles. Write that down, guys. This is called Move Your Fence, and it's Isaiah 43:19. See, I am doing a new thing. The village vicar couldn't sleep. As World War II raged, he told a small group of American soldiers they couldn't bury their fallen comrade inside the fenced cemetery next to his church. Only burials for church members were allowed. So the men buried their beloved friend just outside the fence. The next morning, however, the soldiers couldn't find the grave. What happened? The grave is gone, one soldier told the Reverend. Oh, it's still there, he told them. The soldier was confused, but the churchman explained, I regretted telling you no. So last night I got up and I moved the fence. God may give fresh perspective for our life challenges too, if we look for it. That was the prophet Isaiah's message to the downtrodden people of Israel. Instead of looking back with longing at the Red Sea rescue, they needed to shift their sight, seeing God doing new miracles, blazing new paths. Do not dwell on the past, he urged them. See, I am doing a new thing. He's our source of hope during doubts and battles. I provide water in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland, providing drink to my people, my chosen people. Refreshed with new vision, we too can see God's fresh direction in our lives. May we look with new eyes to see his new paths, and then with courage may we step out onto new ground, bravely following him. You know, with uncertain times, guys, one of the greatest benefits is that we do have him, and when we continue to seek him, lean on him, and pull into him, and create a new perspective in our lives for ourselves, things don't look as grim because we've got a huge promise ahead of us. Like I told you last week, if I were to die today, I'm going to heaven and I'm going to a better place. I will leave good people and good things behind, but I'm going to a better place. I don't have fear of that. And I just want you guys to hone in on good stuff while we're walking this out. This does not have to be the worst year of our lives. This doesn't have to be, our day-to-day doesn't have to be lived in dread because of the unknown. You know, when you have God, it doesn't matter if there's unknowns or not. Just knowing that his word is true and that he's going to take care of us is enough for me. And knowing that he's going to take care of my family because I've asked him to. And knowing that if something does happen, they're going to a better place. So I hope this is encouraging to you. You know, putting together our wisdom with our knowledge and our skill sets and being prepared, doing our part so that God can meet us there, and knowing that with a fresh look and a different perspective, life can be very different in our day-to-day walk, despite what is going on around us. So remember that. And remember, you know, Paul wrote that right before, you know, he was walking out to be executed. So I hope this helps. And I hope, you know, I tried to share knowledgeable, helpful tips and information throughout this, but I also want to encourage you through this. You know, things will get better and things will improve. It's just going to, you know, we're going to need to go through some uncomfortable, rough spots in order for that to happen. I have faith and trust in that too. Deb says, Sergey, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Butenko, is an amazing wild edibles forager. Check out his channel. I don't know that I've checked him out. There's also a guy up in Canada. He's funny. His name is Willow. Is it Willow? Or Yarrow? I think it's Yarrow. He's definitely a very eclectic, earthy kind of guy, but he's very, very knowledgeable. I'll have to look up his channel because at the moment I can't think of it. But he's really good too. Thank you, Deb. She says, amen. Faith, family, finances, fitness, freedom, and there are some others I had added. Fun and friends to that as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. And those are all the things that we can dominate, control, and hone in on with God's grace and his power leading the way. And now, Toika, I will be praying for you. My little story this is kind of funny. It was definitely impactful and memorable. That's something I won't ever forget. But there was a very large, very rough, very burly man in our neighborhood. He was a tow truck driver. And when I was growing up, I guess this was just the culture, but our direct neighbor, who was also a pretty unique fella, I had to think about that, how I wanted to word that. There were many times they just walked in our house. So my sister and I, you know, the bathroom was downstairs. You forgot your clothes. You're wrapping a towel. You're heading up the stairs, and all of a sudden the door opens and there's people coming in. It was just kind of common that the neighbors just kind of helped themselves and came in. And knowing that, we should have done better. But, you know, when you're rushing and you're late for school and stuff like that. So that's one of the memories. But the other is that the tow truck driver and his wife, their vacations every year were to a nudist camp. Like I mentioned, he was a very large man and burly and just a unique individual. And when I was 18, I went over to their place because his wife was the notary, and I was transferring the title for my car, my first car. I was 16, and he's sitting in his living room watching the videos from his vacation of all of them playing nude volleyball, and it was something that has scarred me for life. But the funny thing is, too, they come back from their vacation and they bring their photo album, and they were much older folks as well. So it was a whole collection of ew at 16. And like I said, it has scarred me. So when I hear that and I hear anybody mentioning a nudist camp, they're the first things that come to mind. So we will be praying for you. It is hard when your spouses are not on board. It's hard to try to do things, prepare, take care of your family because you're limited. And it's hard because you don't want to make waves. You don't want to cause strife in your family either. So my best advice to you right now, sister, is we will keep praying. You keep praying, but know that God will take care of you. You know, if you are doing the best you can in your situation without causing strife, and you are making your best efforts to help him to understand your thoughts, I know God will take care of you. I know God will match your efforts. And as far as the rest goes, we will just pray for him to see the light and to understand your side of things too, and your needs. So she says, changing my mindset. Also, I need to talk to myself more about our Father. Yeah, you know, after being sick, one of the things I've really honed in is my devotional time and my time with God, which has always included prayer and journaling. My journaling is really deep now, and so is my prayer. So I just want to encourage that in you guys to really deepen that portion of your day. And you can communicate with God all day long. I do that too. But whatever works for you. But I found great peace, a much greater peace, a much greater depth to what I'm doing right now. Speaking of journaling, I will receive my proof copy finally tomorrow on my Relentlessly Faithful Gratitude and Prayer Journal. And once I receive that and I'm happy with how things are, that will be getting released. If I am 100% happy with how that is looking, I will be doing a lot of promotion and promoting that probably either on Monday or Wednesday and making it live on Amazon so that I can release it to you guys and you guys can get it in your hands. I am so thoroughly excited about this. I can't tell you. So, but I wanted to share that, and I will definitely be doing a lot of promoting. You will know when it's live and available. Super excited about that. Jane says, Melissa, I just bought a roasted dandelion tea, good for liver and digestion. Yes, and the dandy blend is a lot of dandelion as well. There's several different herbs that we can use the roots to make a supplemental or alternative coffee. Chicory root, dandelion root are really good. But the dandy blend, and you can find that by going to TrayerWilderness.com/dandyblend. That is a fabulous powdered coffee alternative, which I actually add to my coffee every morning, and it's amazing. I very much like it, and it's really good by itself. But yes, roasted dandelion is amazing. And Deb says, yes, so good. PMA, exactly. Positive mental attitude. We need to stay there, guys. And I'm glad to hear you're changing your mindset. You know, we change ourselves, we change our lives. it's so important for us to be able to have control of our thinking and what we want in life, and keeping ourselves in that headspace. You know, we allow circumstances, people, things, surroundings to change that, but we have the ultimate control over that. So it's, you know, we need to learn to say, you know, no way. And even internally, you know, no way. You're changing, you're I don't feel good in your company. So you know, you change your thinking, and you avoid certain people, and or I don't like, you know, I'm not liking the way you're thinking, and your thinking is very twisted compared to what my biblical thoughts are. So I'm just going to stay in my headspace, you know, and I'm going to focus on God. I'm going to focus on what I know is right. And also just, you know, right now, this weather is just amazing, and I am just thriving being outside. So I've been trying to spend a lot of my time outside and doing what I can out there. So, you know, not only by changing your mindset, but changing your location, keeping yourself in places that allow you to keep your mindset in place. And we all have negative people in our lives in one way or another. Some we can walk away from, some we can't. The ones we can't make it really hard. But as we change, this is a beautiful thing. Keep this in mind, Toika. And I hope you're reading the book Boundaries, because it's very powerful and gives a lot of really good tips on these same things. But as we change and we grow and we find our happiness, and we are much more pleasant and just unaffected by the world around us and those negative people. And sometimes those negative people try to keep us in that negative place. But when they find, just like the enemy has no control over us, it's a powerful thing, and they start changing. Something else I want to share with you guys. I was surrounded by some pretty negative people for some time, and God brought these words to me. This just came to me, and I think I need to share it. These were people I couldn't escape, and I had to be surrounded by, and it was toxic, very toxic. And my way of dealing with that toxicity was to continue to pray. And one day God gave me these words: they know not what they do. It's biblical. He said it on the cross. And I know he gave me those words, and those words in that time frame were my saving grace. They were the rope, like I mentioned last week, in the cave that pulled me out of the mire, that even though I couldn't get away from those people, knowing that they know not what they do enabled me to have a different perspective, a different grace, and view them a little more with love. And in that, it helped me to change my mindset and in turn change them. So that being said, for those of you that might be struggling with toxic people around them, or people that aren't on board, maybe that will help you. I feel like God led me to say that. So anyway, I'm hoping that will be so helpful for someone. Whew. I need to jump off and eat something, because now I'm getting twitchy and my head is popping. So Deb says, yippee, so exciting for you and all of us. Oh, for my journal. Yes, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Yes, my old neighbors, right? So, very much so. A vision I don't want to remember, but it haunts me. So anyway. So guys, I hope this has been helpful today. Lots of good stuff shared. Lots of good faith shared. I pray that your faith strengthens through this. Our God is bigger than anything. The enemy's going to keep trying, send and packing. He's been trying to get me this week. He knows he can't use my past, so he's been trying to use other things, only I'm onto him, and it's been hard because he keeps hitting me. He's trying, so I must be being bolder in my speaking or something, and he's getting afraid, so he's trying to get me. So, you know, protect yourselves. Be aware the enemy is deceitful, and he is a liar, and he can go pound sand, and I tell him he's a liar, and he can get, and that's what we need to do. Just don't let him take up headspace. So stay in a PMA. All right, so I'm going to say a prayer for us all. All right. Papa, I just thank you for this time. I thank you for the Trayer family, what you're doing here and with our Trayer Wilderness family and our friends, and just how you are nurturing, growing, working miracles, answering prayers, and just loving on this community. I am loving to see how many friendships are being formed through this community, and that's what we want to see. We need fellowship, we need community, we need support from one another, and I'm thankful that we are able to bless each other with that. Thank you for the words you've given me today. I hope that they are a light to others. Thank you for how you've nudged me to create this community, to create the Bible study and the Kids Corner, and to be able to nurture, share our knowledge, and hopefully inspire others through these tough and unknown times. I just ask that you wrap your loving arms around everyone in this community, be with their needs, answer their prayers, provide for them, and just help them when they have families that aren't on board. Be with Keith in New Zealand, where they are starting to mandate things heavier and heavier. Be with Carol as well, because I'm sure that things are cracking down there as well. And just be with our representatives, those that are trying to make a difference in our world. Just strengthen them, empower them, allow us to help them by communicating with them. And for those that are filled with evil and the enemy is controlling, we just ask that you continue to find ways to reach them and just help them in their journey, and may your will be done there. And we just ask that you fill us with you, renew us, strengthen us, give us the supernatural we need to make it through our days, and the supernatural to ward off the enemy. And just meet us, Papa. Meet us in our efforts as we try to prepare for the unknown. But ultimately, our total preparation comes from you, and that is just seeking you and knowing that you are going to provide for us in all of our needs. But we are also, like Tracy said, to keep our lamps full. So we are doing our part. Be with those that are unable to prepare any better than they already are. Give them the comfort and peace of knowing that you're there and that you're providing for them. Just show them by providing funds for something that they need, or providing something that they need to get by. Let them know your presence to help strengthen their resolve so that they too can become a light for you. And just guide us all. Help us be a light. Help us touch the lives around us, and help us to plant our feet and not to cave when things get uncomfortable, because we have your power and your strength and your word to know that you will protect us and take care of us. So be with everyone this week and this weekend. Help them with their needs and all their prayer requests. And I just ask that you keep us all safe and healthy until we meet again. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the abundance you're providing, your blessings, and just your presence in this community. We love you and ask all of this in your holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, guys. Deb says, love you, Tammy, and all here. This is extra special to have a community like this. It is, and it's really important during these times, all times, but more so now than ever. And the beautiful thing is this is going to remain when things all shift. And having a family that loves one another when we may not have that in our own homes is really priceless and important. It helps us to keep going. It helps us to do God's will. And I'm just grateful for his presence here and all that's happening. And I'm just so grateful for all of you. Hit the ground running. I am going to hit the ground running for certain. I need to eat something, and then I need to get water, and then we have Kids Corner, and then we have this, and we have that, and we have this, and we have that, and it's all good. God's got purpose in it, and I'm looking to him for my strength, my supernatural, and my cape. So I know you guys are all doing the same thing. So guys, I love you all. Have a fabulous rest of the day. We've been on long, but this has been awesome, and I treasure you all. So have a wonderful weekend and week, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Kelly says, amen. Bye all. Listen, but making kraut. No worries. You keep preparing, sister. We got your back, and we'll keep praying for you. Love you. You guys take care. God bless.